Hello, this is J.N.S. Happy Saturday. Hope you guys are having a great day. And I want to cover a very interesting topic as it relates to esoteric studies and some shifts that we are seeing in the country. And the reason why is because, I don't know if you guys was aware of this, but on August 18th, 2024, there was the third largest statue in the United States erected in Houston, Texas. And so it's actually Texas' tallest statue. And it is of a Vedic deity, a Vedic god. And so it caused a bit of controversy, but in America, because it's in America. And so a lot of people were confused in Texas. A lot of people wanted to know what's going on, like who is Hanuman and all that. So, I just wanted to do like a deep dive in esoteric studies to elucidate on what this means objectively in terms of like going into the history of Hanuman, but also what it means for America in terms of shifting tides and what it means for America to erect a Vedic primordial statue up like that. This is a 90-foot statue. It cost $8 million. It was erected on August 18th. And so, I mean, it was a grand ceremony and everything. And so, a lot of people in Texas were talking about this, as well as even confused, like what is going on. A lot of the Christians were in an uproar. They actually went up to where the statue was at, and they got into like a protest with people that follow Hanuman. They were going back and forth, and so I want to talk about like why is this sudden shift, and we see with this East Indian infiltration into America, where we have the CEO of Google being now Indian, the CEO of Vanguard being Indian, the CEO of Microsoft being Indian, the CEO of Adobe being East Indian, the CEO of IBM is East Indian, the CEO of Chanel is East Indian, the CEO of FedEx is East Indian, and the CEO of Palo Alto Networks is East Indian, and the Vice President of the United States is East Indian. So there's a lot going on. Mind you, they're bringing in their people. These are I've mentioned some pretty large cap tech companies, mind you, Google, Microsoft, Adobe, IBM, and they bringing over their people, and they are heavily in the tech industry. These East Indians are heavily involved in as social engineer, some not social engineers, software engineers, data analysis of these companies and whatnot. And so I want to talk about like what kind of shake or setup are they trying to put up in America? Like there is a switch. We know that for a long time, America was built on Commission science as well as masonry and Kabbalah. And so we're seeing this shift to a whole nother structure as far as the governance on the esoteric level of what America is going to be getting into. And so I want to expound on those connections between even the streams from certain schools of thoughts, whether that be Judaism and Kemet to uh, Hinduism, but also I'm also going to make some clear demarcations as well. But make no mistake about it, there's definitely a play here. Good, bad, right, or wrong. We can talk about that. I really want to talk about what that even means for Black Americans. But it's something deeper at root here. I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing, but I don't want to be on the raw end of the deal for whatever shakeup or whatever play that this country is trying to move in esoterically and occultically. So I do want to preface you. This is not necessarily a political video. I have to tell you that if you guys, it says esoteric studies, we are going to be reviewing some high level esoteric school of thought, particularly we'll be getting into the some of the Vedic history, some of the Ramayana, which is where Hanuman comes from. I am going to be detailing what is Hanuman and all this stuff, and so and then we'll get into some of the more logistical aspects as far as what it means for a country that is majority Christian, and and then a country where there somehow these East Indians have found the way to infiltrate the most powerful positions in America, whether that be the CEO of the tech companies, and we know that the tech Silicon Valley and their influence over big government, and then we know that we have an East Indian vice president. And so we want to talk about, okay, now the third largest statue in America is of a Hindu East Indian god, Hanuman. And you can see that on your screen. Hanuman. And so it was a 90-foot tall bronze statue of Lord Hanuman was unveiled in US, Texas. And so here's what we know about it. It says it's located at the Sri Ashtakalakshmi Temple in Sugar Land, Texas. The website, they have this, they have like, I guess this temple promotes like finding peace and finding your path to transcendence. And then this would be North America's tallest statue of Hanuman. It's the third tallest statue in the world. Now, this statue, the other two tallest statues is obviously the Statue of Liberty, which is 151 feet, and then Pegasus and Dragon in Florida, which is 110 feet. Okay. And so now Hanuman is 90 feet. And so look at this and how this looks. Now this is in America. Now, if you were to, when you see this, you're going to think like, oh, is that in, is that in? So you would think like, okay, that's got to be in India somewhere. No, this is in Texas, and that is Hanuman. Okay, and so this was unveiled August 18th. No coincidence that 2 weeks before this was unveiled, I said on my channel, I was given a rundown about Hanuman, and I don't know how that happened. Because I didn't even know this was going to take place, but like I was talking about Hanuman on my channel. But we'll delve a little bit into like what he is. I just want to cover just another article real quick. So it says massive Sugarland statue sparks Houston celebrations as one church group demonstrates against it. So obviously, you see these are, I think these probably more of Dravidians. But yeah, like people went up to the statue. Obviously, these are Hindus right here, but then there were some Christians that showed up saying that it was a demon, and what do you guys know about Jesus? They went up there literally saying we need to burn your false gods to the ground. You guys are worshiping a demon. What about Jesus? And obviously the Hindus back like later, because they were asking them, well, what do you know about Jesus? And so the Hindus was like, well, what do you know about the Bhagavad Gita? Like, what do you know about the Rig Veda? What do you know about our Upanishads? And so they looking like, going back and forth. Now, a lot of the Hindus don't really even have an issue with Jesus. A lot of them actually do see him as one of their deities. And a lot of Hindus do. I'm not saying all Hindus, but I'm saying there are statues of Jesus in India. And there is even a coin that was during his time when he traveled through India, because they actually knew that he was born on the King Star. There was already a lot of prophecies around this person, believe it or not, and they did send him up there to India to learn some of their mystery sciences. They had a lot of role into some of the information and some of the things some of the cool things that you see Jesus doing in the New Testament. He had to go to India to learn those things, and particularly the Shakti Agori Tantra school of thought. This is a secret society. It's a mystery science. A lot of the stuff you can find available now, but I'm saying 2,000 years ago, this was like top-notch mystery shit. Like you weren't going to get access to this stuff. But he was a priest of Melchizedek. Jesus was a priest of Melchizedek. They called him Isa in India. And so when he would, travel through and learn those things, those priests, those Indian priests that had their monasteries, that had that stuff, they were prepared for him. They actually was like they found the coin in India of all types of his travels, and so the thing is, like we said, some of these when we talk about the priests of Melchizedek, that order was influential in multiple regions of the world. They were respected by other mystery schools of thoughts, whether that be the Cometian science, Kemet, obviously Hinduism, as well as Buddhism, to a lesser degree, as well as obviously Judaism, Zoroastrianism, obviously various other schools of thoughts as well. That gets into more of the Sumerian and Babylonian mystery sciences as well. And so, as a priest of Melchizedek, he was familiar with all this stuff. He was very familiar. I'm not going to get into. We'll talk a little bit about that because I really want to stay on topic of what Hanuman is. But I do want to draw the connections between Hinduism and Judaism, which was revealed to me by Kali Ma herself years ago, and we were trying to find like they got this stuff hidden. Just because you can't openly find out the connections, which some of the Hindus do admit, there are scholars that confirm what I am saying in terms of the connections between Hinduism and Judaism, and so you do see like some of the they don't really broadcast this stuff, but priest of Melchizedek, even to this day, would be well versed in these different sciences, these schools of thoughts, because the royal nobility of those classes understand the connections of how the information even came was passed down and migrated through various regions to different groups of humans, and that is all documented on a scholarly level and even through oral history from both, whether that be in Africa, whether that be in the Americas, or whether that be in India. There's oral histories of these things as well as even some confirmation. And so let's get into like, okay, well, what is this Hanuman? Okay. And so let me show you here, because a lot of people look at the way this is titled. Demonic 90-foot monkey casts its shadow over Texas. And so a lot of people saw this, and people get offended. Like, what do you mean a demonic 90-foot monkey? And so here we have the spiritual immaturity, of course, and the offensiveness and unmitigated gall. And we understand everybody's not at the same level of awareness, and we try to show grace to that, but at the same time, you have to be very careful with these type of things, because Hanuman is not a demon. The Hindus, they have a class of beings that are demons. They're called the Asuras, and there are other classes of demons as well. Hanuman was never in that category by any stretch of the imagination. And so even if, and what does the word daemon means? It means messenger, but a lot of times, a lot of those are messengers. They could be messengers of the earth, messengers of a certain constellation, or messengers of a certain resonance, or even an octave of a different um, being. So a daemon is a messenger, or it's an aspect of an archetype of our consciousness. For those that are more advanced, it is an archetype of a different octave that is different from say an angel. See, a lot of this demon stuff. I mean, how do we have? Goodness gracious, yeah, we talk about duality and whatnot, but demons are an aspect of archetype within the collective consciousness, some of which can represent a lower octave, and some of which represents nothing that is neither high nor low, or good or bad. You know, I'm not promoting anybody or telling anybody what to do, or trying to, I personally don't work from that, from the place of demonology or the lesser key of the Goetia. That's just not what I was called to do. And so what another person does, that's their business. But for me, I just, I don't, I may, maybe it's because I'm not mature enough, or I have maybe some landmines in my own mind, that prevents me from going there. But I do think I take issue with some of Western occultism's view on working with in their demonology, their ideas on demonology, and their even treatment of energies in terms of enslavement. And so that's another reason why it's very hard to control demons, because they are not necessarily as mature as you may think they are, compared to say a primordial energy or a cosmic god or the creator god. Those are very, very young energies, young spirits. Yeah, and so you cannot control those type of energies without being well trained, and without being extremely mature and methodical and paying attention to detail. And see, me as a chaos renegade, that's not my style. I am structured in other ways, but when it comes to my spirituality, no. To me, it's not responsible, and it's not responsible for me to dabble in that based off of my personality and knowing my energy is more of the Shakti chaos intelligence. And so there is no, you know, this methodical approach that you would need to have to even deal with demonology and even the patients to study. That is not something that is appealing to my mind. And so that's what I'll say about that. But I can tell you that Hanuman is not a demon. He's never been looked at as that sort. And so we see here, this was like the celebration. Like this was a ritual. Like look at this helicopter. Look at all these people. That they're literally throwing flowers down. And we talk about this is big money. This statue was $8 million, and these Indians built this shit right in this country. And so we got an East Indian vice president. So they about to get real. They getting real because they know. Now, what is Hanuman? Hanuman is a cosmic god. Hanuman, would I put him in the category of a Vedic god? Mm, not necessarily. I know that he's the son of Vayu, but he's also a avatar of Shiva. So avatar, you might look at that as an octave of Shiva. Now Shiva is primordial, okay, and we're talking about there's a major difference between a primordial cosmic god versus a being that becomes a god that's created on earth through ascension in their sacred orders. Just like there's a difference between, say, a deity and the primordial gods and the earth-based gods. And so, believe it or not, a lot of people, they were, the Christians went up there like, oh, Jesus is a earth-based God. When he was on this planet at that one point, he was a human that became God. So he did the work and went through the ascension processes as a priest of Melchizedek, as a gnostic, as someone well versed in various schools of thoughts, Kemet science. And we're not talking about the Jesus that they put in this mythical where they're adding Mithra and Dionysus. Like, yes, they added some things when they decided to really collate the story of Jesus as far as how they would propagate it to have other humans externalize their power and just worship Jesus. I'm not talking about that, because the key into what he did in terms of the ascension tools, the goal originally was for other humans to get the access to that key and do it themselves, become the Christ themselves, become just like, that's why Jesus says, greater work shall you do than me if you put in the work. It was for you to go through that same process and become the same thing as son of God. Now, son of God is a class of beings. Please do the research. That's why you cannot. And I know a lot of people are scholars. I do have a master's degree in religious studies, and I also am an ordained pastor, an ordained minister, and I have been studying as a chaos renegade spirit esotericist since I was 19 years old. And so, I'm 32. So it's 13 years, in studying esoteric sciences, as well as having a master's degree on a scholarly level, not a seminary. I'm talking about like an academic program of just studying, these mystery sciences and world religions, including Judaism, including Kabbalah, including Christianity, Islam. I took a whole class on Islam, took a whole class on Judaism, took a whole class on Buddhism. So, I knew all those things, but when it comes to Hinduism, I didn't. Those entities from the Hindu pantheon came to me when I was 18 years old, clear as day. And I had grew up with a friend who also, in a hood of another Black American that just, they grew up with Krishna. They had the Krishna stuff, and so, and that comes from. We'll talk about the fact that there were East Indians brought to Maryland and Virginia, and even some places in North Carolina from India. We'll talk about those documentaries. I actually want to show you the primary sources, and I want to show you, because I actually covered it on my channel, as far as like, how did they get in here? How could some Black Americans have oral history about East Indians, or how could Black Americans be talking about? I'm literally a friend since I was 11 years old. They grew up with the Krishna stuff. And so, and these were Black Americans that have been in the country for like 400, 500 years, and have actual, in addition to having some East Indian background, they have American Indian and African, and based on their genealogy, and as well as European. And so, we'll talk about that as well. We'll get into that as well. But Hanuman is a primordial, is a cosmic god. Okay, and so this is when you're primordial, when you're cosmic, that means you was a force that came from either another constellation or literally born of the cosmos itself, and you came into planet Earth and visited planet Earth to drop off information or to make yourself known, to bring about a certain resonance, and then you bounce back into the cosmos. And so that's what Hanuman is. That's very different than a human who is a soul on planet Earth and goes through the process of ascensions by learning by becoming enlightened on planet Earth and becoming a god while you're still in a physical body, which is what Jesus did. Now, he said, I was the son of God. I'm the son of God. Son of God, once again, is a class of beings. Tahuti was calling himself son of God, son of God. That comes from Kemet. And so that was a very big thing, like if you were a son of God. Like, so this, obviously, when they say Jesus was a carpenter, he was a mason. That's what it means to say Jesus was a carpenter. And we're not talking, again, we're talking about the rebel that drew the line, had the beef with another order who he felt was corrupt and kissing ass to the Roman secret societies. We're talking about that Yeshua, not the fairy tale that y'all need, and the death cult where y'all worshiping the a blood sacrifice, a satanic blood sacrifice that a secret society pulled over y'all head and told y'all that he wanted to die for y'all and all this stuff, and he needed to die. Nobody can die for somebody else's sins. I can't wait till Jesus come back to tell y'all that his damn self, because y'all gonna be in for a rude awakening. Yeah, because he's becoming more cosmic, because he did go to Andromeda constellation. He did go to Andromeda constellation after he became phantom on Earth, upgraded DNA flesh, resurrected from the dead, which is true, with his enlightenment, and got the fuck on. He did. Now here's the thing. Now remember, after that resurrection of the enlightenment, and getting messed up, getting exiled by the Rome, they say that he did go back into India. That's what they said. This is stuff that his brother had wrote. And again, when they was talking about like what would be canonical for Christianity, none of that stuff made it in the Bible. None of this stuff from ages 12 to 33 is in the Bible, which details the traveling from different countries to different countries as a priest of Melchizedek and royal bloodline to get these informations from these other mystery sciences so that he can enlighten himself, as well as Judaism. He was studying that as well. And then the stuff that happened after the resurrection didn't really make it in. We don't know much about it, but it's there. The Vatican has that information. They talk about it, and they say that he went back into India, and even some of his followers went to India. They went back into India, as well as his brother, as well as Thomas. They went back into India because their reputation was fucked up in Rome. I mean, they didn't have, they were getting either killed or exiled, so they left. And I know that, when you talk about resurrecting and all that stuff, that shit is real. I'm speaking from experience. I know for a fact that you can die and come back to life and be a phantom and not actually die a physical death, but you've died. And you know how sometimes people, you come out your body and you see your body there and you're just the soul. And like, oh, okay, well, I've transitioned into another resonance. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about you can die and come back in physical flesh. And that's the goal for all humans, to get there. But yes, all that information you don't hear about. You don't hear about that he went back into India and and continued to do things but worked more so clandestine, very, very clandestine, and was calling himself Isa. And so none of this stuff made it into New Testament or or King James or whatever they collated with the at the various councils of Nicaea, or what would be considered heretical, what would be considered canonical. Now you guys are saying that at the Council of Nicaea, that is those were not the councils in which the Bible was collated. Even if that's the case, because now they change in the history because people are looking around. They're literally changing the history in real time. And I'm telling you this, they're changing the history in real time based on what I grew up researching and what they're putting out now and stuff they hiding in Google searches and stuff. Oh, it's getting real. They about to literally take out verses of the Bible. They about to hide stuff like a mug because they realize humans are, the teachings, um, the true teachings, if they are applied correctly of what Yeshua was saying, you should be able to get to that level, to literally become Christ consciousness, to become a God. And if you got 2 billion Christians, you should see 2 billion ascended masters, right? But you don't. So I can tell you clear as day, they have not applied any of those teachings that Jesus was talking about. I don't know what they're doing in them churches, and that's by design because obviously the pastor, they don't want to give you gain. That's their bread and butter. So yeah, they want you sitting in the church for 25 years and not really knowing what this man was actually really talking about. But the reason why I keep bringing in Jesus in the first place is because I do know that going into India and having to study under, say Vedic philosophy, that those philosophies are thousands of years older than Judaism. Than what the, even then there's connection there, and there's also demarcation. So I'm not saying they're the same thing, but the beings that created the IPUs are related. These Nagas or descendants of dragon riders, which is what Jesus was, a descendant of dragon riders. That's why they just came out with an Egyptian scroll that just got translated. That they said that they talking about again, kid born under the king star. They already knew he was coming in the portal, just so y'all know. And so they were saying he was a shapeshifter. Uh, that's too deep. That's too heavy. We're not going to cover all of that. But let's get back to Hanuman. And so Hanuman, he is the god of wisdom, strength, courage, and self-discipline and intellect. So when we talk about wisdom, it's not the feminine wisdom. This is a wisdom that is rooted in more of the intellectual realm of self-discipline and the realm of logic. It's a very masculine. It's a very masculine wisdom. It's not like the Sophia wisdom or the wisdom that you get from the divine feminine. And it's very interesting, and so like I could go into my own gnosis of Hanuman because of my personal dealings with this entity. Came to me when I was 18. I'd say 19, about 19, and so I'm very familiar with Hanuman, more so on an experiential level. I have to say, even though he is mentioned in the Ramayana, as well as the Shiva traditions, as well as he's also mentioned in the Puranas and in the Mahabharata. Sorry, the Mahabharata. He is mentioned in those tales and those texts. Those are Hindu texts, pretty much. And I have to say, I did not read those texts with the exception of just here and there with the Ramayana and the Mahabharata. I did read the stories of Kali and Shiva in the Mahabharata, but I didn't really pay attention to the Hanuman stuff. So my experience with Hanuman is more so experiential than intellectual than me studying this stuff, you know. And so I can get into that, but I can attest to you that the energy from Hanuman is one of, and I'm not pushing this on anybody. I'm not saying you need to go and go get you a statue of Hanuman or worship Hanuman. You shouldn't be worship. These are very advanced gods. They wouldn't care if you're worshiping them or not. To be honest, these are very very primordial. Um, and so he's mentioned in the Puranas, the Ramayana, and the Mahabharata, which are Hindu texts, and he is seen to be a incarnation of Shiva, but he is also the son of Vayu. Okay, and so Vayu is a Hindu god of the winds, and this is also Vayu is a wind energy, very air, and he's also associated with Indra. Okay, this is the king of gods. And so Vayu, which is Hanuman's father, is believed to be born from the breath of the supreme Godhead, creator God. So, like, I know that humans are not, privy to this information yet, but you have this creator God, right? Whether they're going to call him Allah, whatever you want to call God, a lot, primordial Godhead, primordial mother, whatever you want to say. Those that energy creates all the other species, beings, planets, galaxies, and gods, demigods, deities, angels. And so I know that humans are still fighting about which god to do this, which god to believe, which god, and that's where you guys are at, is where you're at. But in different dimensions, it's looked at as, okay, we have a creator god, we have this one godhead that offshoots, octaves, and resonances of itself, including even the human species and various species of all species that are in the universe, as well as other primordial octaves of resonances. And so these would still be gods. And then you have uh, your classifications based on the age of the soul of the being, and then the level of awareness. And so that would be you got your angels, you got your fairies, you got your demons, you got your species, like whether that be the Draco, the red dragons, the humans, the Pleiadians. You have that type of thing going on, but it's still connected to God. And so that's how we view it. We understand, though, that certain octaves of, say, the creator God that God gives clearance to, uh, they have permission and clearance to go to various planets and set up shop, teach humans certain things that they know from their constellations, that from their star system, from their species. And so the bloodline that is responsible for the Hebrew bloodline and for a lot of melanated species on planet Earth, they come from one dimension. And those are the descendants of the dragon. Those are dragon riders. That's a very primordial energy. And it's a very feminine energy. And those beings have been coming to planet Earth for hundreds and hundreds of thousands of years, creating various IPUs. What is an IPU? It is an ideal parallel universe, because the universe is mental. And so when we talk about IPU, we're talking about a silos of consciousness in particular regions of the Earth. So obviously you have Hinduism. Obviously you have Judaism. Obviously you have shamanism, or African traditional. All of these come from a specific resonance of an IPU, from a specific being, whether that was a being that was born as a human, or a literal interdimensional being that set up shop on this planet. Some of the IPUs were created by humans themselves as well. Sure, a human created IPU. And there's offshoots. You'll have maybe Sufism. You'll have the separation between a mystery science and uh, things that are more exoteric. You'll have things that are more community based and stuff that is strictly for the priest. And so the knowledge of like dragon riders and the Nagas going into, say, Africa and the Americas, into the and even into Asia. That's why you see dragons in every culture, no matter what. Um, Even though they have different customs and ideologies, it is because they came from this very specific dimension, but they had their own school of thoughts, their own way of wanting to do things, and their own way of teaching things to those specific groups. And so that's how you get these different world religions. But it wasn't meant to divide humans. So obviously, the powers that be, and the way they have things set up now, they use religion for mind control, and they use religion to get humans to fight one another, to disagree over stupid shit, and to say, oh, my God is this, and my God is that, and I am the chosen people, and you're not the chosen people, and you're destined for hell. And like, this is like the most primitive stuff that I think of, it's just like, whoa, like, for me, I can't entertain that. And so if you guys are looking for me to do that kind of stuff, that ain't ever how I'm gonna roll, because I gotta stop looking down on it, because I have to be more understanding. But I do think that fighting over the idea of God having any particular religion, even if he's just you want to believe in just one creator God, um, that that just sounds strange to me, you know, because I do know that the beings that came on this planet are from a specific bloodline that did do offshoots, that created an offshoot of what they wanted to see, and they were given clearance to create that. That's the goal of every human. That is the goal of every species, is to create their own IPU. And so some are more dominant over others. Jesus created his IPU. That's dominant IPU today. Um, you have Prophet Muhammad create his IPU. Siddhartha Gautama creates his IPU. Guru Nanak creates his IPU. That was their IPU for them, their individual teachings, their individual thought processes for their specific, for their being. Now, if other people don't realize that or don't come into the awareness that they should be creating their own, that's on them. But if someone says greater work shall you do, and it doesn't even mean like, oh, I have to create a religion. That's not what an IPU is. An IPU is your thoughts creating and reshaping your reality and essentially your own universe. Because even when you transfigurate through from a human, you're still going to go and traverse through this galaxy. So your IPU is going to theoretically keep expanding through the entropy of probability distribution. Entropy is probability distribution. So just from you expanding along with the universe, you're creating your own ideal parallel universe. You're supposed to do that on planet Earth. You're supposed to be learning how to do that on planet Earth. So when you get on up out of here, you can either go to someone else's IPU. Many of you like to go to Jesus' IPU, whatever, Buddha's IPU, or you can have your own. That is what every religion teaches. No, seriously, seriously. Unfortunately, Christianity is, I would say, the teachings of Yeshua rather have nothing to do with Christianity today. Um, I suspect that if he was even to see what was even done with it, I think he would find it abhorrent. Um, I think it would be incredibly alarming to see what was done with those teachings. Of course, when you get certain groups in power, they want to keep power and they want to keep other people unenlightened because knowledge is power. So if you want to control someone, especially control them through religion, the best way to do it is through um, giving them beliefs, giving them teachings that are not the most empowering, and botching and taking and keeping this good stuff for yourself. That's just what they do. Keep the good stuff for yourself and give the people the bullshit. And so they have effectively done that with several religions, and that's why a lot of stuff is hidden in the Vatican Church that you'll never get access to. And most of the priests, whether that be a Jesuit priest or a Catholic priest or a priest of Melchizedek, they know all this stuff. They probably already know about Hanuman. They probably got a statue of Hanuman in their damn house. They just didn't tell you. Seriously, these pastors that y'all, that's because they understand. They understand. It's not because they're trying to be blasphemous or anything. It's just that they understand that in even this the character that the ones that you guys follow, the Jesus, um, they would be well aware that through the just from understanding certain things that he knew was able to do, that he had to go through India, and there's even suspicions that he would even had studied the Ramayana or Upanishad. It wouldn't be a big deal. But I do have to say, Hanuman is the god of wisdom, strength, courage, devotion, self discipline, and intellect. I really don't. I never saw when I say for me, I always assumed that it was just intellect because this being came to me when I was 18, 19. So the first thing that I felt was extreme intellect. I didn't really get wisdom, but I got strength and courage though from it. Like as far as the energy that I felt, the first energy that I felt was extreme intellectualism, self discipline, but not an arrogant intellectualism. Just willing to share whatever they know. That is what Hanuman does. Like he's there to teach people self discipline, good meditation, to give strength and warrior. He's more of he's more of a strategist, and the way he approaches strategy and intellectualism is in a very mature manner. And so maybe that's why they say he's the God of wisdom. Okay. And so you know, there is a connection between the Vedic Shakti and Bhakti Hinduism. So people, so some Hindus probably know what I'm talking about when I say Shakti and Bhakti, and Judaism through the Nagas bloodlines. That is the Dragon Riders. They created both of these IPUs. The Dragon Riders, they might be they're two different entities, but they are related. That's like being the equivalent of a brother and a sister, or two brothers branching off. And I'm going to do Hinduism. I'm going to do Judaism because I see my IPU different. The way my archetypes in my computer mind is different than the IPU, say, of Judaism. And so you have two entities that are from the Dragon Riders that are related, that went to different aspects of they went to different regions on this earth and did different things at different times, at different space and time. But there is a connection, and that can be proven. Hanuman is, I would say, for me, a henchman, an adjutant. For me, that's the role that he plays. He is a gatekeeper. He plays as a gatekeeper for other people, but he's definitely a adjutant. He's an incredibly powerful, incredibly primordial. Um, I have when I know humans are. I don't know how where people are at as far as like if they think like, oh, do I have to worship or these gods? These are the type of beings that would not care, that what they do and who they are and how they be is not contingent upon anything a human thinks. I would tell you that they could care less if you worship them or not, if you had a statue of them or not, if if it's nice, it's cool. But when you call on them and you do ask for help, they will help. That's the type of energy it is. It's like, if you call on me and you fuck with me, I'll come through. And sometimes through the ancestors, they'll come to you. Hanuman came to me. I didn't go searching for them. Same with Kali. Like, I didn't go searching. I don't like to dabble with certain things, because then it's like you don't know what could be at odds with your ancestral blood or with your epigenetics, and so I don't just try to force a connection. It has to come to me, and so um, again, as far as there's scholarship coming out on the connection between the Shakti Bhakti Hinduism and Judaism. I suspect that more will come out, because God told me that there was a connection between this stuff years ago. I just didn't have the proof. And so I was like, I know the Vatican got to have something, because I could see it spiritually, that these are descendants of Nagas serpentine dragon riders that created both religions. That I do know. There are Hindu scholars that did confirm this. Now we're looking for more information to be released, though, and I think the Vatican probably sitting on some information that they needed, that they're hiding. And also, if there's any scholarship that's on it, I'm hoping that it makes it more to the forefront as far as like mainstream. But yes, Hanuman is a primordial cosmic being. Okay, and so when people try to compare gods, like, Jesus is, because the Christians were going up there to the Hanuman statue and was like, you need Jesus, you need to knock that statue down, it's a demon. Obviously, that's going to be offensive to a lot of people. That's like, huh, what the hell are you talking about? Like, it's like, whoa. And so they don't know like, most Christians don't know the difference between the various levels of heavens, even though there are multiple dimensions of heaven, even mentioned in Christianity, right? Uh, there's even different types of beings. Like, morning stars are a being, as a class of beings. Those many come from Venus itself. These are things that are in the Bible. Like, we talk about sons of gods. These are usually men from the order of Tahuti, which was Jesus is an octave of Tahuti. Like, all of this stuff is just hidden. It goes completely unknown to like a lot of Christians. And so there's all this judging and all of this ignorance, and even willing to offend people without even knowing that, there's levels to this. There's octaves to this. And so if you think, say, like, okay, would a Yeshua and a Hanuman, would they be fighting? Do you guys really think they would be fighting? You guys think that Hanuman and Yesh and Jesus would be up there arguing about whose God is this and who's God and whether and I'm God? And I mean, you have to be completely out of your mind to think that those are beings that would actually be exchanging knowledge, exchanging wisdom, exchanging some things that they know, teaching. And Hanuman would absolutely have the upper hand as far as the ascension, as well as the age of a cosmic primordial being is older than a being than a god that was created on earth. It's just simple as that. So that consists of pretty much most humans, including the ones that ascend, that become ascended masters. So an ascended master would be still learning from a Hanuman. They wouldn't they wouldn't be fighting with them, or they wouldn't be in some human war talking about you're a demon. That wouldn't be that. And so, you know, when people think that even Jesus would need the likes of humans to even defend him, if he's God, as you guys say, he wouldn't need y'all to be going up there to some statues, to some Indians, and calling they got a demon and saying they need to take it down and all this stuff, you know. And so, like I said, priests of Melchizedek are well versed in various mystery sciences. They come from a royal bloodline, and they are very much aware that they are descendants of dragon riders. A lot of them, most of royal bloodlines are aware of that. Whether that be in Kemet, that's why you saw all the pharaohs wear the cobra on their hats. Whether you look at Asia, they always have some dragons around. Always, Asia loves some damn dragons. Even with India, you just talk about the Nagas, the serpent, the serpent gods, the primordial black gods that they came from Ethiopia and Egypt into India and taught those Indians, and they just thought they were gods because and they were really black, pitch black. When you look at the original pictures of Krishna and Kali, this will confirm this. Hindus weren't always as colorist as they are now. Um, but yes, a priest of Melchizedek, which was what Jesus was, would be well versed. You have to. You won't understand. You won't become an ascended master if you don't understand the various IPUs that are on this planet. The Atlanteans left certain things, like, and so the dragon. Some of the dragon riders, some of the dragon riders are simultaneously consider themselves Atlantean and as well as Draco. The Draco is not the right word because dragon riders are above. Dragon riders are above the Draco constellation. And those are beings that come from there too, and they yes they are on planet Earth. They've been here for thousands of years. But I do have to say that there's even levels to that too when we talk about the Draco beings and the dragon beings or the reptilian. There's serious levels to that. You think that there's levels to humanoid and mammalians and amphibians and all these things. We're mammals that have light codes of Draco DNA. Many of us, many of you don't even know that. It's the same thing. Let me make sure my sound is good. Hey, Royal Deluxe. Hey, Royal Deluxe. Yep. And so, this is how it goes. And so when we talk about the difference between a primordial cosmic God and an earth-based God, which is where Jesus was the Son of God. Son of God, mind you, is a class of beings. To who he was calling himself Son of God. Some of the angels were referring to themselves as Son of God. I want to say the seraphim, the seraphim, they all consider themselves sons of God. These shiny, flaming ones, they're fire. They're descendants of dragon riders. And so, yeah, a lot of the pastors. What frustrated me is pastors never taught this stuff to Christians, and they're just like they don't understand this dissemination of where this information even came from, as far as like Judaism or the offshoots of Judaism from Kemet and from Hinduism into the mysticism of Judaism, Kabbalah and Zoroastrianism, the Essenes, the Gnostic teachings, and then Christianity. Jesus his in order to understand even the teachings of Jesus, for one, it's experiential, and so that's very difficult because it is, because we're talking about now, going into teachings of the divine feminine, which is not so quantitative or methodical, or hermetic. Rather, hermetic is not masculine at all. And when you read the teachings of even some of the parables of Jesus, you can feel that. Like, I'm like, the only way you can understand this is if it's through experience. And so I realized that now, because I was like, what the heck is going on? You got 2 billion Christians. You should have 2 billion ascended masters, right? And I'm like, what the fuck are they doing? And so I'm reading it now, and I'm like, okay, I know I know it, one, from bloodline, but also that's something you have to experience. That you have to experience. It is as simple as that. When we're talking about let thy eye be, if thine eye be single, then that all eye should be filled with light. Like, actually, I'm at this, like something like just simple like this. I'll just break this down real quickly. Thy eye be single. I just want to break down just something real simple. Verse. Now this one I don't want to spend too much time, because this honestly could be probably be a whole book. Just something simple like this. This is one of your keys to enlightenment. Most people, this flies over their head. This is Matthew 6:22-29. The light of the body is the eye. If therefore thy eye be single, thy whole body shall be full of light. It's a teaching of Jesus. Uh, do people actually realize what he was saying? Now, this is already for people who have an open pineal gland, right? And they start to break. See here, yeah, y'all want to go deep? So let's go deep. Um, this idea of the monarch program, where people were fragmenting the minds of humans, particularly certain secret societies, by way of the fallen watchers, the botched teachings of the fallen angels. To be honest, they already had this thing where humans' minds were already fragmented. We talk about, like, sort of like in a dissociative way, and and what happens, of, say, if you do have an awakening or your pineal gland burst open, depending on how you did that. And see, now I suspect that this monarch program had been going on for thousands and thousands of years. This is rooted in Babylonian Luciferian magic. So that's ancient. We're talking thousands and thousands of years old. So when we talk about monarch mentalism, the perversion of that started in Egypt. The perversion, like you know how we talk about, like, MK Ultra and trauma induced mind control, a splitting of the mind, splitting of the fragmentation of the mind. That started happening towards a certain period in Egypt. I'm not saying that was always Egyptians' teachings. Monarch mentalism, when it originally got to the Egyptians, it was not botched. It was not anything to do with trauma-induced mind control. So somehow these pharaohs, who are part Draco, uh, in their quest for more power over their people, they start, you experiment with things. You reverse engineer sciences. You have the Book of the Dead in Egypt. You have all these things, and that's when you started to even, you can read this in some of their stuff, where they talk about, like, some of the more trauma induced ways to insert entities or to fragment someone's mind, even if they do become awakened. They're dealing with fragmentation of the mind. And so they started experimenting with those type of things in Egypt thousands of years ago, like experiment how to control someone's mind and how do you do it. And they found out you can easily do it through fear. You can easily do it through reverse engineering the original monarch mentalism, which is what all royal bloodlines had to know. All royal bloodlines were trained in monarch mentalism so that they can run empires. And these people many a times were part human and part deity or demigod, and so they would be in control of potentially an entire planet, a constellation. I'm not saying that was necessarily here on planet Earth, but in 125D, absolutely. Various parts of constellations in a galaxy, absolutely. Yes. And say a Hanuman can handle that type of energy, or a Kalima. Or see, a Hanuman would be is already trained in the proper monarch mentalism from 125D. And so they understand, like, what it is to create archetypes upon archetypes, resonances upon resonance, and octaves. It's like a advanced genius transducer computer that understands the infinite power of probability distribution and can wield that it's like the Matrix. When you remember the movie The Matrix, when they say download me a program of karate, you saw Neo just automatically know how to do all this karate and stuff. That's kind of what deities and archetype, the deities and the gods, for say those under trying to understand consciousness, regardless of what species you are. But if you are of the royal bloodline, you understand that those are archetypes to go in and out of. And so what they did on planet Earth was reverse engineer that to create mind control, MK Ultra, which is like, okay, we're going to reverse it. So we create altars and we'll split. Like we'll just create, we can, because they didn't know what for one, the Egyptians wanted more control. I'm not going to hold you. And that's why they got involved in some shit and they failed. But let's be real. Westerners and Satanists, like what they're doing now, they got that science from them, and they even botched it even more because they totally misinterpreted some things. So it even took a turn for like, what the fuck are y'all doing? But the Western occultists, they took those that what they thought was Kabbalah, whatever they thought they were reading in Egypt, and misinterpreting even the idea of the sacrifice and children. All of these things are completely misinterpreted, and we can talk about the way when in Egypt, when they were mentioning children, we're talking about demigods. These were not humans, and they looked at all humans as children. Okay. I don't really want to get into that just now because I want to talk to you why America is switching from Kemet to the Hindu stuff. I want to show you. I want to tell you why, and it does have to do with those misinterpretations of Kemet texts and the idea of blood sacrifice and the idea of children. That has a different connotation from the Dragon Rider's perspective than versus how humans, especially Western Hermetic occultists, what they interpreted and botched, and now the world is cursed because of they stole knowledge that they had no business putting their hands on and completely wasn't a part of their bloodline, and they simply misinterpreted and didn't understand it. But I say this to say, like, even the days where Yeshua was walking around, as a Gnostic priest of Melchizedek, priests of Melchizedek go through this monarch mentalism, but they were at this time going through the perverted version where you get the altars inserted in you, and either the altars take and someone else can program you, or the altars break, the programming break, and you have to integrate everything together to focus your eye. And so the light of the body is the eye. We're talking about the light of the body is the pineal gland. If therefore thine eye be single, that's the part that gets people confused. Like, what could he possibly be talking about? If anybody that goes through monarch mentalism or the reverse engineered version that is created by that the Egyptian pharaohs, who were part fallen angel, I'm not saying they were entirely fallen angels, but some of them were into more of the dark arts and gladly reversed engineered some of these teachings. They did start to train more so from the part where it's going to fragment the mind. And so that means that when we're dealing with altars and archetypes, and that eye is not single, that means you get distracted easily. You're double-minded. Entities can take over you and control you, and other people can kind of control you like a remote control, even if you do have an open pineal gland. And so that's where you see you see the child stars in Hollywood where they MK Ultra break and they be all over the place, or you see what happened with Ryan Garcia where, they MK Ultra break, and then they start saying certain things, and you may like, what they talking about? Or they think they sound crazy, whatever. But what happened in a situation with Yeshua being a priest, and I know he's putting through this because I can read that Bible, I see exactly what the hell happened. But he was born in a bloodline of certain orders, and with him, very few people are able to integrate that level of monarch mentalism, especially when it's reversed engineered into where you yourself again, where you can control, where the altars or the archetypes are not in control of you. You are in control of them completely, and you took in full authority over any fragmentations of the mind, any dissociative aspects of the mind, any shadows of the mind, any lower selves of the mind, and that eye has become single. It is an integrated mind For those that know about thine eye be single, the subconscious mind, your prime conscious mind, and your conscious mind is single. All of the energies of the body is focused and organized in one direction. It's not fragmented. It's not disintegrated. The archetypes are not all over the place. The altars are not controlling you. Your programming has broken. No other human can insert an entity in you, and no other entity can just come and insert themselves through you. The eye has been single. Through your pineal gland, you have focused. You're not letting anyone's content entering your fucking eye, your mind's eye, your pineal gland. You're in control of your hypothalamus, your limbic system. And the whole body shall be full of light. That it will be your kundalini awakening. That would be the fluid from the cerebral spine, from the spine, the fluid from the spine, and from the certain aspects of the chakras of the head, the crown chakra in particularly. That fluid will fill the whole body, and it feels like light. Sometimes you may feel like you're on fire, but a good fire, not like burning, but like your whole body just gets filled with light. And that's the ascension phase. That is the awakening phase. That is becoming a god. And so that's what this verse means. And so, like, this is just a simple verse, but this happens so many times with so many things where it's like, wow, you have to actually experience that. You won't know what this is. The light of the body is the eye. If thine eye, therefore, if thine eye be single, that whole body shall be full of light. This is a huge key right here. But if you don't experience this, you don't know what this is talking about. If you don't know what it's like when you get your way and your shit just split like that, and you gotta fragment. That's like that's like when Carl Jung was talking about the collective unconscious just swarming, and you got to integrate your subconscious mind and your conscious mind. That is what it is. See, this was referred to as the eye back in these days. Your mind's eye, though, as we all know. And so the light of the body is the pineal gland. If thy pineal gland be single, and now we're talking about the qualitative aspects of the pineal gland. The qualitative aspects is the integration of the faculties of the mind, the chambers of the mind. Then thy whole body shall be full of light. And the body is the temple. And the body is the vehicle of traversing. And so the whole body shall be full of light. Now, what is light? That is your photons. That's your photons. That's your electrons, your neutrons. Like it's your electromagnetic field. Because a light is a component of electromagnetism. And so when your whole body is filled with light, you control your photons at will. Once you can control your photons at will, you are a god. Even if you can control them halfway, 50%, you're still like a demigod. If you can control your photons and actually channel and create, you can channel aspects of this universe, exoverse, to generate more photons and more electrons. And the whole body shall be full of light. Now you're already photons, right? You're already light, but you have to experience that. Like that, this is something that you will have to experience. Yeah, we know conceptually. Yeah, we all have electrons. We all have neutrons. We all made up of these subatomic particles we all are electromagnetic beings. Yeah, we're all already light, but most people don't have an awareness of what that feels like. And so this is giving you the awareness of what that actually feels like. And I'm telling you, most of Jesus' teachings are like that. Most of them. I mean, it completely fly over people's heads. It's an unfortunate thing, and it was by design. But now they trying to go back, as I'm telling you. They realize, I ain't gonna hold you. I'm about to tell y'all. I'm about to let y'all in on something. They realize that some of y'all niggas, some of y'all is running around here, knowing that this is some deeper esoteric shit. And so y'all looking around at that Gnosticism, and y'all looking at these Book of Enoch, and you're looking around. You start looking at the Kemet shit. And they realizing that there is a group of humans in America there's a group of advanced, highly advanced Christians. Oh, I'll give you one better. They not even fully. Let me shut up. But there's a group of advanced, very small group of advanced Christians that started like looking at this stuff and realizing that there's deeper shit going on, and so they did start to look at it more so from not just a gnostic sense, but like, how do I mimic this Christ behavior? Like, how do I truly, if Christ said, greater work shall I do, then if I put in the work, what is that work? What does that work look like? It's not just the remedial, hey, love your neighbor, treat your neighbor as you do yourself, turn the other cheek. Hell no, hell no. And so some of them say, well, what does the priest of Melchizedek know? Because he was a priest of Melchizedek and he was a carpenter, he was a mason. So what the fuck did he know? And so they start to study that stuff. And when you start to look at the lost years of Jesus and you start digging around and he was calling himself Isa. He stayed in a monastery in India. So then it's like, okay, what was he studying in India? Okay, he was studying the Shakti stuff. Okay. Okay. So, there's certain there, and it's not many, but I'm just saying there was a group of advanced Christians that started to figure some shit out and they are able to mimic Jesus' miracles. They're able to do certain things that Jesus were actually able to do because they took the time to research what was actually what Jesus was saying. They said, no, we got these, these certain, this is just one verse, but this is like this with all of these verses. And so, I do have to say they are going to start cracking down. They're going to start removing verses out of the Bible. I'm saying if they remove some of them parables, good luck. You think y'all really ain't go, they really go. I mean, good luck. But they trying to remove stuff because they realize they also going to try to say that the book of Enoch is not real. They're going to try to demonize Gnosticism when Jesus was a Gnostic. There was different sets of Jews in those days. You had the Essenes. You guys know that you had the Nazarites. Jesus was a Nazarite. These were people like they were fighting against another Jewish sect that believed more so in a different version of what Judaism would look like. So there was a group of Jews that were vegan, believe in no animal sacrifice, believe in no harm to children, believe in chastity. They started to get exiled and killed. Nazarites, they wanted more something that was more gnostic. They didn't want all of this flashy. That's why Jesus had such beef with the Pharisees and the Sadducees, the Jewish priests, because they was making mockery. They were more so into the ceremony of things, the ritual of things, the law of things, but in a corrupt way. They were extremely corrupt, and they were in bed with Roman secret society, and they had their own secret society, and they were more so on the stuff where, yeah, we sacrifice, and yeah, we do these things to children, whatever. If you don't care about they may have kosher laws or whatever, and believe in certain, but there were different sets at that time. Some that was fully vegetarian, some that believed in, you have John the Baptist version of the way he was doing his Judaism. And so these groups started to kind of fight. Some of them was even in different orders. It was even within the same order, they started to branch out and have a different view of how these things were even practiced. And so, unfortunately, they were already small mystic type groups anyways. Even with Gnosticism was considered heretical. They were able to set up a Jew clash that would essentially throw all of the other Jewish groups under the bus, Hebrew groups under the bus. It's as simple as that. And Jesus did get caught up in that. I'm talking about the person, Thelonious Apollonius, however y'all want to say it, that person that was in Rome that got fucked up. And there is a record of that. Now, we're not talking about their mixture in the Bible, mixing it with Mithra and Dionysus and all this stuff. We're not talking about that. Or even the story of, because again, this is like a simulation. So they do play out as far as Horus Osset and was it the story with Horus Osset, and I want to say it's not Osiris, is it? But that there's already a creation story with man, mother, and child in Kemet. These same type of stories. For those that have any clue, those who know something about a time loop or how you create ritual through masonry to carry out a same story literally in real time, for those that know how to do that and know, like, I am literally a walking testimony of how that's been done. Literally, even if you study my bloodline, you'll be like, "Oh my gosh!" Like people would be familiar. Say, I'll give you an example of what I'm saying. There will be people that will be familiar with, say, uh, the story of Osset and Horus, and there will be a bloodline that's a part of an order that will be very familiar with that story. And they would sit down and craft out how to literally recreate that and bring that story once again, that narrative in real time again. And they will craft out the certain bloodlines, who gonna get together, who gonna sleep with who gonna do what to what, and we're gonna do it all over the whole ritual. It's literally a ritual all over again and create that moment in time. Then you get Mary, Joseph, and Jesus and all this stuff. Yes, people do that all the time. Now these are not regular humans. Obviously, these are be those that are part of a bloodline order, a royal bloodline, a cult order. They would know how to do that. And so when you see a story that's similar, it doesn't mean someone tried to steal another story. I'm speaking from experience. Like, if I could show you this crafted out in my own bloodline, where there was a group of Masons in my bloodline that literally recreated a story to a T. You could study my gematria, the gematria of my forefathers in certain bloodlines, the last names, the people that had got together, who they put together purposely. I've literally seen it. It's not just random. You would think it is, but it's not. And so some people will do this. They will if they want to conjure in something or will in a narrative of a timeline. They can. There are humans that are versed in gematria, that are versed in Kabbalah, that are well versed in Kemet science, that are versed in Babylonian Sumerian science, and they will sit their ass down with a coven or with a group, or just even with just them and a husband, or it could just be just the family, and they will carve out how they're going to recreate that same situation and embody those entities. Sometimes literally conjure up those entities to literally bring forth that same narrative, the exact same narrative. And so I know a lot of laymen, they like to just say, "Oh, well, Christianity was stolen off from Kemet." From what I know, from my own bloodline, and having and being the descendant of all of this whole IPU stuff of the Dragon Riders, um, those people can sit down and craft a story out and literally recreate a story. They've been doing that since the beginning of time. Is nothing new. That's how you create an octave of a god. That's how you can merge yourself as a human with an entity and birth that human, and have a human birth a literal entity out. All those things that's ancient science. Is nothing new. It's nothing new. And so that's the situation there. Okay. And so again, Hanuman, I know that was a tangent there, but Hanuman, very primordial being. They raised this money. These Hindus raised this money, $8 million, to get this statue done. Not the third tallest statue in the United States. And so why did they do it? And my thing is, the Christians went up there cussing these Indians out, saying you need to take that demon down. Why didn't y'all raise that money to build y'all a large ass statue of Jesus then? That's my question for the Christians. Y'all sat up there, gave all that money to Creflo Dollar for fucking private jets. Benny Hinn, millions of dollars for private jets. Kenneth Copeland, you Christians gave them millions and tens of millions of dollars for their private jet. Why didn't you think to build a statue of Jesus? Or a cross or Yeshua, whatever y'all wanted to do. Why y'all going up there to them Hindus and fucking with them? Why you could have y'all set up there, y'all raised all that money. We talking about Kenneth Copeland. We talking about these people is worth $80 million. These people got they got their own private. Remember, Creflo Dollar was raising money for a private jet. Them Christians gave him millions for that private jet, only for Benny Hinn and Creflo Dollar to apologize for teaching prosperity gospel, because they know that they did not enlighten anybody. Like I said, if there's 2 billion Christians, there should be 2 billion ascended masters that can do the works of Jesus. And I ain't seen none of that. And so I know for a fact y'all don't know what the fuck you're doing. And I know them pastors is lying to you, and them pastors not preparing you. Well, you got Pastor Darby. Pastor Darby was a real one. Pastor Darby put a lot of motherfuckers on game. God rest his soul. He had passed away not too long ago. But Pastor Darby, man, and you know, even some of his information, you know, was a little getting to the spookyism because everything is a demon to the Christians. You know, I mean, I don't claim organized religion, but like in my world, I believe in heaven and I believe in angels. Everything is, you know, and I know what it's like to be fearful and to wonder like if something is, you know, when you don't understand it, you fear it. So I get that. But you know, I'm like for people that's supposed to be about Christ and stuff, y'all sure be obsessed with the devil and all this stuff. I don't know. But anyways, Pastor Dari was the only one that was really teaching like some real shit up in that church. You can go to his YouTube channel. Like he was, oh man, he was getting deep too, and some of it you could tell, like, you know, he was researching. He researched the occult. He studied these esoteric. Let's actually. I'm not gonna play Pastor Darby on my channel, but I just want y'all to see the difference, like between like these small time paths. Some, and he was more of he wasn't, you know, no mega pastor. He had a good size church though, you know, but he was teaching them some real deep ass shit, and that's why I'm like, I respect him. See, if I was going to go to a church, it would have to be like something where I'm learning some real high level shit, not no baby prosperity gospel about getting some money. See, now he died, so his channel, you know, I'm trying to get to like the older stuff where you could see him like going in, like, because this I think is his wife, because he had already passed by this time. So I guess, you know, they took over his channel and it's probably putting up some other stuff. But he was teaching, you know, he understood some things. Like they would call him a conspiracy theorist, so you know they would call him like they would, you know, they would when he was teaching people about the New World Order, he was teaching people about uh you know, different occult sciences. I mean, it was just deep stuff, and I'm trying to get to, because it's I was looking at stuff that was like 11 years old, like all this stuff about like how the blood sacrifice work, how you transfer electrons on. I mean, he was going deep and teaching them that. He was teaching them about what they do in the occult, you know, to prepare these Christians, generational curses. That all it wasn't like on some scary spookism. It was more advanced, you know. Like here, this one, Return of the Nephilim. This one was a good one. The Return of the Nephilim. He was talking about all this stuff, the Enoch, the Book of Enoch, you know, awakening of the feminine God. Like he was trying to teach them some things. Now, again, some of it I don't all agree with because, um, you know, it's just a little, you know, a little bit of primitive. I won't say primitive. That is kind of disrespectful, but just not advanced enough for me. But at the same time, it was some deep stuff like that they would need to know. Like people who went to this church, they know more than the average fucking human. That's for sure. Because he was good. He was giving them some game, heavy game, and he died. You know, but we're talking about why didn't you Christians build you a 90-foot statue of Jesus? Y'all had all that money that y'all gave to them churches, $10 billion of just the black church alone in 10 years. Just the black church alone. Y'all could have had that Jesus. Y'all sitting up there going to them Hindus. I'm telling you, like they went up there ready to fight them over the Hanuman statue. But my thing is, like I said, like y'all gave Creflo Dollar all that millions of dollars for a private jet, only for him to come and tell you he apologized and God didn't want him preaching about prosperity gospel anymore. Only for him to apologize, same with Benny Hinn. But y'all gave these people billions, millions, but didn't think to build no statue of Jesus or no statue of a cross. But y'all want to get mad at the Hindus because now the Hindus come up and they built the third largest statue in the country of their god Hanuman. And so the Christians went up there saying, "Oh, that's a demon," and you know, they had got sent home because like it's you can't legally go up to nobody's temple like that and just be, you know, and they were saying, "Oh, you need to take that down. You guys need Jesus." And I want to say this. Even if, like, say, every Christian in the United States gathered around, say, a Hanuman and just prayed that it will fall. Like, oh, we pray to Jesus that Jesus knocks it down. Even if you had every Christian to do that, do you know that nothing's going to happen to that statue? You would stand there for the next 5,000 years and it won't fall down. Why? Because it's not because of I'm not degrading Jesus or anything. It's just that Yeshua is high level enough to not waste energy that way. That's a waste of energy. And plus, he studied Hanuman's techniques. This is a cosmic being. And so the immaturity to see a group of people just go up there and they were praying against the statue. Oh, it's a demon statue. I'm telling you, if every Christian in the nation went up to that statue and prayed to Jesus and said, Jesus, knock it down, Jesus, knock it down, Jesus, you'll be standing there for the next, for pretty much, you'll be waiting for thousands of years. Because ain't nobody, I'm telling you, Yeshua is not thinking about that shit. Like, oh, I'm not coming, I'm no. Like, what the hell? Why, like, you go, like that, I don't need y'all to waste your energy like that. For one, why are you distracted and wasting your energy like that? That's what he would say to you. Why the fuck are you distracted, going wasting your time? Build your own IPU. Actually follow my teachings and go and read that shit and do greater works. What is y'all doing going up to some damn random like no, I'm not coming down to knock down shit. Y'all don't even understand what y'all even got into, and that y'all carrying on a satanic blood sacrifice, with all this death cult shit that y'all into. Y'all don't follow my teachings. Y'all don't follow my teachings. If y'all did, y'all wouldn't have gave millions and millions to Kenneth Copeland. Y'all would call out these Mason pastors that don't teach y'all shit, that lie to you, that keep your mind controlled by religion. I ain't coming down there for shit to knock down no Hanuman statue. Hanuman is my homie. We learning shit together now. The fuck? That's what he would say. That wouldn't be fighting. A cosmic being visits different dimensions. See, Jesus is more cosmic now. And now he can go to different dimensions, different constellations. And a human can do this. I'm telling you, greater work shall you do. A human can actually do that. A human can become an earth-based God through their levels of ascension. Then when they leave planet Earth, they can start to go to other constellations, get a reputation going. Universally known throughout different galaxies and dimensions. Like Jesus did. Like Tahuti did. Like Thomas Sankara did. Like Siddhartha Gautama did. Like the Buddhas did. Like the Hanuman did. Like the Kalimas did. Okay? Humans can do the same exact thing. That's why Jesus said, greater work shall you do than me if you put in the work. And Hanuman teaches you these things. Hanuman is or open. So when you go to a primordial being, to these cosmic beings, they don't have this conception of we got to hide the secret knowledge and hide in the, oh my gosh, this is just for us and we got to keep our power and we got to. No, if you ask, they will tell. If you ask about certain knowledges and questions, they'll give it to you. That's how cosmic beings are. They love to give information. They love to teach data. They love to challenge you and get you to create your own knowledge. And so those are what those type of beings are. And you could travel to different dimensions. Now here's the thing. See, Hanuman, they say they going up to the Christians were going up to the statue saying you a demon to Hanuman. And I'll say this, Hanuman is very high level. And so Hanuman himself will never attack or curse someone, because you just simply don't know. But there are billions of souls that in entities that follow that resonance of a Hanuman. Okay, so say Hanuman is too evolved. This is kind of like how Jesus would be too evolved to just get into the fray of shit. And I keep bringing him up because I know that most people are still Christians, and most people in America, still kind of brainwashed with the religion stuff. But say you have a Hanuman would be too evolved to actually hurt people who call him a demon or pray against him or hate him. It's like, okay, whatever. But the following may not be that evolved. His following. And that could be the entities, actual literal humans, Hindus, or just the entities that have been following Hanuman around for aeons. We're talking about billions of souls, billions of legions of entities that are attached to those primordial cosmic energies. And so they may not be as evolved. And so they may tag your ass spiritually for coming at Hanuman. Is it childish? Yeah, the Christians do that too with Jesus. They do it all the time. Jesus don't need you to attack nobody else. Jesus didn't attack anybody else but human, his following might. Did Jesus tell them people, them Christians, to go up there and scream at them Hindus and call them demons and stuff? They for their statue? No, they decided to do that on their own, right? And so what I'm telling the Christians is that's the same thing that the people that follow Hanuman. That's the same thing that's attached to Hanuman. But that's an older energy than Jesus. I'm being very frank. It's a much older energy than Jesus. And so I'm saying when people create these, don't follow the laws of thermodynamics of uh, what kind of work you're going to do on the system or what kind of energy you're going to espouse a certain direction. I'm just going to, for those that they're like, well, how does that work with the law of thermodynamics? I just wanted to break that down. That it's the energy that you put into the work of the energy that you put into another thought system. That's what I mean with the qualitative aspects of thermodynamics. We don't understand that you're gonna eventually create a deficit, and you're eventually going to create a lot of entropy, a lot of a mess that can backfire on you. And so again, people were going up there attacking these people that were minding their business on their own land. They had bought that building, and they didn't just bring it. It was not public property, by the way. It was private property, and they went on there to take that statue down. That's a demon. That's a demon. And you got them Hindus and some of them Hindu priests. Oh, they not like Christian priests. Them Hindu priests, they know shit. They really know shit because they got some primordial shit that's way older. We're talking about 6,000 years older than Christianity. And so some of these may be tantric agora. Hanuman is more so the school of thought of Shiva, so they don't really get. You're lucky in that regard that they more so Shivites versus like the Shakti, which Hanuman goes both ways. Because if that was some Shakti, oh, y'all you probably wouldn't have made it off. Then you was liable to collapse dead without nobody touching you right from just walking up to that damn statue. If it would have been if it would have been somebody from the Shakti school of thought or Vamachara. But yeah, some of them Hindu priests that's a follower of Hanuman that love Hanuman, they'll get mad at you for doing that, going up there disrespecting on their private property like that. And they know how to and you a lot of people don't in the know. They don't know that there are priests and occultists, however you want to call them, that can crush that have a high level psychotronics. They can think in their mind that they crush your heart. They can literally cause you to have a heart attack just with their mind. You don't have to believe it. It's been done. We have heard stories of it. Those of us that's in the know the pastors don't want to teach all this. That's on we tried it. We try to wake it up. Pastor Darby tried to wake it up. You didn't want to go to their church. You wanted to go to a flashy church that got the Rolls Royces. You wanted to go to the TD Jakes and shit. I go to the Diddy party. You wanted to go to Creflo Dollar with $4 million, $40 million private jet. That's what y'all wanted to do. And so you don't know shit. Now you want to go up to a statue of a primordial cosmic being who taught Jesus, by the way, and go and say demon, demon, and come down and all this stuff. You don't know what the hell you're getting into, or what kind of door you open, or the connection between Judaism and Hinduism. You don't even understand that they're two different beings from the same family, like a brother and a sister of the Dragon Rider is going to create two different IPUs that are connected essentially in Creator God's eyes. And you go start some shit when you had the opportunity to go and build it instead of going and pay for some $40 million damn private jet. You had the power to go and build. Why don't you build you the tallest statue of Jesus, Black Jesus, not the white one, Black Jesus? Why didn't you do that? I don't understand. But you want to go and get mad at another group. And so I'm not saying to be scared, or I'm not, and I would say this: if they had did that same thing on the other foot, I would say the same thing. If the Hindus decided to go to a bunch of Christians and say, take your statue down of Jesus, take your, I would say the same thing. Like, I'm not trying to be partial or one way or the other. Like, that's how I would feel if they decided to create their statue and another group of people was going up to them, take that white Jesus down. I mean, I'm beyond the religion thing paradigm. It's interesting. I see value in some of the teachings, but it's the humans are not evolved enough to understand most of the real crux of the stuff that's more helpful. And so I wouldn't push it on anybody because, or I would meet people where they were at rather. But it's done more harm than good in terms of the separation of humanity and the loss of love. The principles of just humanity is lost because of division over something that none of you really know. You don't know about the unknown. You don't know what's what with 100% certainty. And so I look for the threads of knowledge that connects all of these things together. And I know that most of religions are saying the same thing. Just on a scholarly level, just the scholarly level alone. I know that they all saying the same thing because I know that they come from the descendants of the dragon riders, which are they, yes, by proxy they have connection to the fallen angels, but the fallen angels did not create all these religions. Like everybody was saying, but some of the scholars were saying that Lucifer created all these religions. That is just not true. Did yeah, he botched the teachers and fucked up a lot of the stuff with the IPUs and hid a lot of the knowledge. Um, and even didn't fully understand all of it. But there were other entities that created those IPUs of the Dragon Riders. Yes, he is related to them. Yeah, they're related to him. But once this Earth was turned over to the Prince of Air, it decided to do something different. And there was some that they did want to give other information. Some of those pollinators, they taught other information, other things that they wanted humans to know. Some of it they were not supposed to at that time, and some of it was okay to know. And so, um, I'm not partial one way or the other. I will feel the same way. But be careful going up there just starting shit with them people like that, because from what I know, yeah, it's good to have your faith in whatever you believe in Jesus, so that's great or whatever. But praying and going up there saying, oh, that statue is a demon and Jesus gonna knock it down, praying to Jesus to knock it down, you're wasting so much electrons. You're wasting so much energy, even in Jesus' eyes. It doesn't do it. It doesn't mean anything in the grand scheme of the universe. It doesn't do anything. It's not. And you could be messing with a Hindu priest that's trained and have, like I just how we just read. If the eye of the light is the light of the body is the eye. If that eye be single, it's Hindu priests that understand exactly what the verse means. This verse right here, Hindu priests, they know exactly what this means, and they already perfected it. And so when they want you go up there talking about, oh, that demon got to come down, and mind you, they know this verse right here, and they mastered it. And so they think hard. They'll look at you, and they say, crush his heart. I want that heart. And they all they do is they in their mind's eye, they crushing your motherfucking heart. Because all they eye is fully integrated. Prime conscious mind, subconscious mind, and conscious mind is fully integrated, full control of all chambers of their mind and can manifest that will, good or bad. And you go up there to them Hindu priests talking about Hanuman a demon, Hanuman a demon. And when they say, okay, when you get in that motherfucking car, you drive off, I'm causing your ass to get in an accident, you're gonna die. And they know how to do it, and it does happens like clockwork. I'm just saying, be careful, because unfortunately the pastors lied and didn't teach you shit. But this verse right here, you as a Christian may not have not perfected this. This could take a good 20 years. For the men, it's a lot harder, believe it or not. That's why they lock out they perverted all of our teachings, stole all the female teachings, perverted them, and locked out the women, because it's much easier for women to get there than men, to be honest. And they know that all secret societies at the highest level, they already know all this stuff. That's why they hide it from women. But yeah, see, you may not know what this means or how to perfect this, but some of them Hindu priests teach this. I'm almost positive that's where he got it from, the East. That's how I know that when they said he was in India, I truly believe that, because I can look at some of the teachings and I'm saying, okay. He had to have been in India. They know this. The light of the body is the eye. If therefore thine eye be single, then that whole body shall be full of light. They mastered their electromagnetic field. You didn't. I've seen it. I play videos, and I'm not going to do it because it is on YouTube, but I don't want to offend the secret society that that person belongs to. Yeah, it's videos on YouTube of these Hindus, with a bunch of scientists studying them, taking their hand from their hand and creating a damn fireball. And it was scientifically studied. They had a whole experimentations on it and everything. But one of the masters of the secret society got very angry that that stuff was on camera. That stuff should never be shown on camera. You're not supposed to ever do that in public, and he violated. And so, though the videos are still up on YouTube, I am not going to show that. Now, you can type in Indians levitating, or type in Hindu priests levitating, type in Hindu priests creating fire. You do that on your own. I'm just saying, I'm not playing that on my channel because I don't need no blowback in the spiritual realm from doing that. But it's up there, so it's on YouTube still to this day. Yeah, but these Hindu, they know what this means. They take their hand and they light shit on fire, because that's what it means to be in full control of your electromagnet of your electrons, your photons. They know how to look up at that sky and and cause an earthquake or some rain. This is why Jesus was calming the storms. This is why Jesus was walking on water. It's the same science. It's high level occult knowledge, but for the royal bloodlines, for the royal bloodlines. And so y'all go up there messing around. I'm just telling you, stop going up there with your immature bullshit. And you follow Jesus, really follow him. Stop sitting up in them mega ass churches, not learning shit, not getting no knowledge, not getting no enlightenment. Become the ascended master. That's what I would tell you, Christians. Don't go up there fucking with that stuff. And so this. Let me give you what I mean by that, right? So the amount of power. Okay, this is Vayu Sun. Hanuman is Vayu Sun, right? Just I want to give you an analogy. This is really in their story, by the way. This is really in their story. Hanuman energy is so powerful that when he was a kid, he thought the sun was a damn toy ball, a yellow toy ball that he could play with. And so he reached down and he got his ass whooped by Indra, spanking by Indra, which is the primordial essence of wind. And so that's the level of power we are talking about here. Now Indra is did he get smacked down by Vayu? No, Indra smacked him down. But this is like in a text. This is the power that, and I'm telling you, I'm talking about from experience that I know the level of power that this being has, and it ain't no motherfucking joke. And it is extremely extreme. You have to be extremely mature, extremely mature to handle that power, or for that power to even be revealed to a human. But just imagine if you can look at the sun and think the sun is a toy ball. Look at the sun and think the sun is a toy ball, and you go and grab your hand and reach it so you could play with the ball, and as a kid, and then your ass get a spanking. Now that's an analogy. I'm not saying it's real, but I'm just saying that's the best way in human form to let you know, like, that level of power, that someone thinks the sun is a toy ball. And I'm telling you, I've seen college mom. She showed me that same thing. Like, they look at this stuff like a toy, and we're talking about, like, she would like she when she was showing me, like, her shit when she was a baby, and how she would move when she was this primordial dark energy, and how they look at planet Earth like playing with some motherfucking baby dolls. Like, she would show me when she was 5 years old how she was protecting certain humans and looking over, those that after they left from that IPU and went to Saturn. And I was cracking up how she was showing. I mean, that level of power just of a 5-year-old, like that level of power. I'm like, that's like massive. I don't think it's unconceivable. Your mind can't conceive it. Looking at planet Earth, like, how we grab the game board of Monopoly, or we grab the game board. Them little game boards we grew up playing, like Operation in the game, and that's a kid's toy. That's a kid's toy. to a being like when Kalima was a kid. We're talking about just a kid, because now this is an older energy. This is a much older, still a little immature, but it's a much older. It's a God energy. We're talking about it as a kid. She was showing me like how planet Earth was like the tantamount to like playing the game Monopoly. Like that's how planet Earth was, and she was showing me how like if she because she's kind of heavy handed, so she was showing me how like if somebody would attack her devotees or those who fuck with her, like how she would be going it like overdoing it, like accidentally like caught like show I would see in like these earthquake like an accident like just to protect one of her devotees like she'll cause an earthquake and then it was just nothing. Um, and that's more of that qualitative stuff that we talk about. Like men don't get access to see those type of things. Those type of quantum entanglement and dreams. That's kind of like the realm of the female. Females get. I'm not saying men don't have that, but I'm saying like for me to be revealed that on such a level, um, and it was much more. And I can't even explain the words that I'm trying to relay to you. What I saw like with her on Saturn and like this being of this chaos intelligence, that energy, how powerful that energy is, where planet Earth has looked like a damn board game to these entities, to some of them. Um, they have come down, but when they go to wherever they're from, Saturn, wherever it may be, or even the essence of dark energy itself, of the universe, the cosmos itself, back to the melanin, back to like the intelligence that melanin is, even to that, because that's kind of like what the primordial mother kind of is, the fabric of just infinite expansion. Um, yeah, that's some heavy shit. It's heavy, and Hanuman is not as powerful as Kali. Obviously, he does look at her as he has prayed to her for her help, and he is her gatekeeper. He's one of her adjutants, and um, I know that Hanuman has a certain power like that, similar, but it's not even as strong as a Kalima. But that it's just wild. It's wild. It's so unexplainable. Because I'm telling you, when those entities came to me when I was 18, 19, 20, 21, Hanuman had came to me. I didn't, and I'm just like, okay, what's up, and I've always, even in my jobs, I've always, at that time, I was still in church. I was at the Pentecostal church and everything. And like, I was at Pentecostal church. Hindu guys would still visit me in my dreams and stuff. There's something in our bloodline. It's stuff that is attached to the bloodline. That's some of that stuff is your ancestors. And so even though you may be Christian or you may be, in the church or whatever, or whatever's attached on that bloodline to your ancestors, it always gonna come through no matter what. There's nothing you can do. Because that's literally some of your ancestors. And so yeah, I was sitting in a Pentecostal church. And a lot of times a lot of people think that say Hanuman is a demon. That's not a demon. And so sometimes those entities roll up in the church. And I remember we had our revival, and it'd be 20 of us, and we all passed out. And we it's angels everywhere, and it's beings and stuff. You'll be shocked if a dragon rider rolled through. Dragon riders created Judaism, created the Hebrew bloodline, and so at that, even though we were Pentecostal, a lot of us come from those light codes, and so you can't be shocked if a Hanuman rolled through a damn church. It is very possible that you call on these angels, you feel we want to open all the cherubims gonna come through the thrones, they have the nine choirs of angels. We're gonna call in. I remember I was at a revival and it was a lady. She called in the nine choirs of angels, the denominations, the virtues, the powers, the thrones, the seraphim, the cherubim. It was about fire energies. Now we just said seraphim is the sons of God, so now we're dealing with some of the energies of Tahuti, and so you cannot be shy if you want to sit up there and have a revival, and you have we talking about those some of us. The lady that was given a revival, Nuclear's Day, she was a Jew, and she activated these nine choirs. We blowing the shofar and shit. I mean, motherfuckers, we talking about you really pass out from the Holy Spirit, like you really like convulsing, like it's like that some shit don't walk through the damn door. You feel gust of wind, the doors is blowing and shit. Like it's real. And so you talk about nine choirs of angels and dominions, denominations, and powers. Okay, yeah, some of them powers may be Vedic. Some of those powers are Vedic because of the Solomon. Again, these are priests of Melchizedek. These are not regular ass people. These are royal bloodlines. They know all this shit that's going that about the Upanishads and Vedic gods. They already know all this stuff. They know it. And so you at a church or whatever, and that's where they would come. And that's how I had always knew. And I kept saying, God, you got to reveal to me. You got to show me how does this Vedic stuff connect to Judaism. I gotta know. And I was just now coming out, and I said we got to get this. I said I know the Vatican got something on it with this dragon rider stuff, in these beings that came the different, they hiding something about it. I said yeah, and then I was starting to come out. The Hindus are confirming, you know, and so I'm like okay, now we know that what I was shown is true. And so wait till the Christians find out who the God of the Bible is. They really gonna blow their mind. And you go sit up there and say, "Oh Jesus, come take this demon Kalima away. Come take this demon Kalima away." Oh, y'all gonna be in for a rude awakening. So let's say like I'm just giving a scenario, a playful scenario. So say like Jesus come down, and then y'all sit up there and say, "Oh, this Kalima demon, this Kalima demon." Oh, you ain't gonna never get Yeshua to turn on that. Because y'all don't know the bloodline. Y'all, it's so much stuff that has been hidden from humanity that you know it's just a misunderstanding. A lot of it is lack of awareness and stuff. And so yeah, we don't want to hold it against you or whatever. But don't buck up. Don't be ignorant because we ain't never talked about no turning no other cheek. We ain't never baby humans. We never baby humans at all. So I don't know where y'all get that from. That somebody gonna bounce you on their damn leg up and down like a baby and console you instead of chastise you when you do something stupid or correct you. You know, and that's like you know, that's that's what we're talking about. This immaturity. You never you. I know for those that really go deep, who have visitations from Archangel Michael, that visitations from Archangel Uriel. I know you ain't think that they was gonna baby you. I know you ain't think that they was gonna baby you because they don't baby you. Now some of they do sometimes baby some of the women. I mean, if you they baby, they won't, But I'm talking about when you just be conjuring up to ask them, and you're not mature enough to deal with that kind of energy, and you should see how snippy they get with you, Archangel Michael, and how annoyed they'll get with you. The eye rolls that you get. The eye rolls. Do you know how many eye rolls you guys get on planet Earth from some of the things we hear the humans say? But yeah, yep. Should you better off? So some of these demons will be nicer than you than some of these angels that you say. Seriously, And so I'm not pushing. No, I'm not trying to say one way or the other what people should do. I'm not pushing at nobody. See, I don't mind. People say, "Oh, you're messianic. Are you a messianic Hebrew or whatever?" I don't claim any religion. I don't claim organized religion at all. I have my own IPU called the Nakti philosophy, called the Nakti Queen Mothership. And we have venerations of certain archetypes of consciousness that I gel more with than others, and my ancestors. Like but I see the productive value in certain teachings. So I don't mind Yeshua. Yeah, I believe in Yeshua, but I'm not gonna ever claim no organized religion because I just find organized religion too unevolved for me. I can't be around that level of arrogance and ignorance at the same time. You know, I just don't like all that lack of growth and that lack of accountability for humans to take control of their own power. And I don't like what pastors have done to their parishioners by not teaching them and not teaching them those esoteric sciences of Jesus, but trying to teach them how to get rich. And nobody getting rich though. They want to teach you all this prosperity gospel. They got private jets. They got millions, and they not teaching nothing of how to teach humans how to evolve their soul. Why? Because they don't want any of you humans getting ideas. Okay, Like, if you were to really apply a lot of those true teachings, would you actually be going to their church to pay those tithes every week, or to give those? To give, no. So what? They'll be out of a job pretty much, because you then became your own master. You became your own uh, Christ consciousness. Those royal priesthoods had this information. Yes, the layman, you would not have access to our knowledge. Like, you wouldn't have access to understanding the process of proper monominalism, the days of Egypt, and before they perverted it into like more of that set 10 satanic shit. Um, but they didn't say the word. It wasn't satanic, but I'm just saying, like, that's what it morphed into in today's time. That's what MK Ultra and certain their sex magic practices. They're all perverted. It's all perverted. It was not like that. It was never originally like that. Um, but yeah, the average person would not know. They weren't expected to know. But it still wasn't okay for this information to get into the wrong hands because of a certain empires fell from even selling out, but also just the switch of power. And this information did get into the wrong hands. And people did think, Commission science meant certain things in the Kabbalah. They completely even use, like, say, like the tree of life. It's completely upside down. So did somebody purposely put it upside down, or was it misinterpreted upside down by accident? Who knows? But it's a lot going on. It's a lot of bot shit. But you know, they sat up in them churches. They wanted to listen to them pastors tell them how to get rich instead of applying them teachings. And so they had all the opportunity in the world. You could have built that 90-foot statue of Jesus. Okay, and so, like I said, I don't think it's. I don't want to be too harsh or beat up on anybody, but a lot of times when people be carrying on about demons and demons and demons, you the motherfucking demon, and I had to realize that myself. Like, not everything is a demon just because you don't understand it. And Hanuman, he teaches ascended masters. He teaches the Yeshuas. And while it's not our fault that the pastors hid this from you, it's not really your fault either. But in today's time, this information is just like public now. You don't have to join no mystery science school. You don't have to spend 12 years in no cave. You don't have to take no oaths. You don't have to join no secret societies. Like, all this shit is just out there now. It's like one of the best times to find enlightenment and to awaken. The original Gnostics texts are out. All of the Gnostic texts are available for free on the internet. All of the Gnostic texts that Jesus studied, it's available. And so, yes, the Matrix is going to tell you, hey guys, don't go to Gnosis. They don't want y'all getting too many ideas. But Jesus was a Gnostic. So why wouldn't you study what he know? See, that was my thing. I'm like, okay, well, what kind of knowledge did he know? Let me study what he know. I didn't think like, oh, and that's how I was taught by my ancestors. Like, that's how I was taught to just view that. Well, what did he know? Because we know good and hell well he missing from 12 to age 12 to age 33, and they say he was in the priesthood. So we knew that those two things, and they say he was a carpenter. So we know certain things. So I'm like, well, what the and then to find out, okay, priest of Melchizedek, okay, they go through a certain order. They go through certain periods of study. Okay, well, what let me see what he was studying. And they do that to this day. And this art incarnation, and my even in my own incarnation as an octave, you know I appreciate just being able to learn from so many sources, and to be able to learn, whether that be taught by Yeshua, taught by Hanuman, and much, much, much more, and much, much more. And so it required me to study more so his process and methods versus actually just looking at it from the way that the church teaches Christians to look at that. And that's the difference. It doesn't make me, any special or anything. I'm just saying, like, I would encourage more so if somebody was going to get into all of that, into the religion stuff, to view it more so from what was his methods, what are the methods, and what what is the work rooted in, and what did he know? He knew something, and start to look around, start to study what he knows, so that you can understand them parables. That's the only way you go understand them parables, and then also understand the experience, understand the have the experience yourself, awaken and become the ascended master yourself. That's what it was. That's why he was really killed, because he wasn't supposed to be teaching that. He broke the order. He wasn't supposed to be teaching humans that stuff, but he was. And so that's the real reason why it was set up by a secret society. Two of them. But they obviously, when you do a social engineering psyop, you have other people take the fall for it, other groups take the fall for it, and all this stuff. But then at the highest levels, it be all at play. That's kind of like how they set up like Nipsey Hussle or something like that. Think of it like how they set up a Nipsey Hussle death, or how they set up a Michael Jackson's death, and they make you think it's one thing. Oh, that person just died of an overdose. But then when you start to uncover, they had these different doctor, this type of handler. This person didn't call this person, and did it, and you start to realize that was much more intricate and much more planned out. That was literally what happened with Jesus' death. And so, back to Hanuman. I'm not pushing Hanuman on anybody. I don't tell nobody what to believe. I'm just clarifying for those who might have been curious, and for those, that just was wondering, like, what was all of this about? Hey, Ultra Instinct. I didn't see him. To make sure. Oh yeah, I thought that was oh, Royal Deluxe was in here too. Um, but yeah, I just want, for those who was curious, like, well, what's going on with this statue or whatever, even though they may even have zero intentions of even interacting with Hanuman. Maybe they just want to know, like, well, what is this stuff? What is Hanuman? But you know, if you want to test, like, and I just want to give this like some esoteric knowledge for even maybe a Christian who may roll through here, even after the video is published. There's two top five uh modalities that can be used to like exorcise demons, right? Uh, I don't know if Christians may not know this, or maybe they do, but there's two of them that are known for getting out Shaitan or Satan, and these in lower governing forces, whether that be like a spirit of addiction, it could be a spirit of uh, drug use, the spirit of, that's more so like the lower level stuff of of, of, of maybe which I suspect a Christian would think of as a demon. Um, but there are, like two huge modalities that would probably be like top five in the world of modalities. Maybe top 10. Maybe I won't push it. I'll say top 10, because there's some cool shit out there. Um, that if you were to play these specific mantras or chants, then say if someone is possessed, the demons will come out, or if you're afflicted by something, they would come out. One of which is the Aramaic prayer of the Father's, the Lord's prayer in Aramaic, right? And so, say if you don't, if you're suspecting of some demon, or you're suspecting of low governing forces around you, um, or you suspect even that you maybe have jinns. That's the word I want to use. I'd rather use jinns than demons, to be honest. It's a little more fitting. But say, like, because these in certain parasites will manifest as gens, like, or gens would manifest as certain parasites rather, or manifest as certain ailments like inflammation or something. It could be a gen entity, right? That's JINN. There's a concept that's more Islamic, but it does have a lot of relevancy, to be honest, for all religions, and the concept of demon. Unfortunately, I would say the Christian concept of demon would be more fitting of the jinn than what an actual demon is. But the first one again is that Aramaic prayer. Because I know that I remember, There, even with the way I talk and with some of the way I carry on, some Black Americans were saying I was possessed by a demon. Like they would say, "Oh, she's possessed with a demon," um, and you know, those in the know, like any pastor, like a priest, like those that perform the exorcism, they know that the Aramaic prayer of the Lord's Prayer will exorcise demons. You know, and so I say this prayer every day. I'm supposed to be one that's possessed with demons, mind you. But yeah, so the Aramaic prayer, Avun de Bishmaya, Ni Takadasha Shamak, Tete Makuda, Nove Sekigna Kakana de Bashmaya Afbaha, Hoklan Lakman Siakanan Yamana, O Shoklan Hovain, Ekana de Kana Shoklan Hayavain, Ula Talan Enesyana, Ela Pasan Minbisha, Mata de la Ki Melkuda, Ukai la Utish Bata, La Lam Amin, Amen. So that is the Aramaic prayer. This is a very, very powerful prayer, and it is known to exorcise demons. This is the prayer that Jesus says. So, though Christians, yeah, this is an Aramaic prayer. Now, the definition would be God, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our debts, and lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever and ever. Now, that is the Western version of that definition. I want to give you the advanced Hebrew version. This goes created. This how you know that this because they say this is the Lord's prayer. This was a Gnostic prayer, and you could tell they were highly advanced because what I just read to you, that's not that's the Western version. That's the baby kindergarten. That's children level. But as far as the English translation, the Aramaic version of this means this: O thou, from the breath of life comes, who fills all realms of sound, light, and vibration. So now we're talking about resonance comes sound. I'm sorry, this chaos intelligence, or this idea of spirit or soul, comes the full realm of resonance, sound, frequency, light, and vibration, photons, frequency. This is high level shit right here. And it says, may your light be experienced in my utmost holiest, your heavenly domain approaches. Okay. And so now we're talking about that light, that the actual concept of a soul coming as coming in and as an individual, the taxonomy of a soul, an individual awareness unit, your heavenly domain approaches. Let your will come true in the universe, all that vibrates, just as earth that is matter and dense. Now there we go with the as above, so below. Let your let your will come true. This is your will, your willpower. This is how you create in masonry through your willpower in the universe. All that vibrates, everything is energy, all is frequency, just as on Earth that is matter and dense. So now we're talking about the 3D realm of something that of your mechanics, the 3D physical matter. But it's still an acknowledgement that that is still vibration too. And it says, give us wisdom, understanding, assistance for our daily need. Detach the feathers of fault. That means detach guilt, shame. That means detach any guilt, any shame, any low resonance. But look at this. Detach the feathers of faults that bind us with karma. Like we let go the guilt of others. Don't let go of the guilt of others, the projections of others, that bind us from karma, cause and effect, output, input. This is the original version of the Lord's Prayer. You didn't. It's high level. We talking about quantum mechanics. We getting into the 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 return to sender type of thing, or detach the feathers of fault that bind us, like we let go of the guilts of others. Let us not be lost in the superficial things such as materialism, common temptations, but let us be free from that keeps us from our true purpose. Let us be freed from the distractions, common temptations, materialism, because again, it's the realization that this is dense and matter, but all vibrates. So we're talking about the understanding that there are levels to sound and to light and to dimensions. From you comes all worlding, all, come from you comes all working will, the lively strength to act, the song that beautifies all and renews itself from age to age, sealed in trust and faith. I confirm. That's what the Aramaic version means. So now we're cleansing the body with starting from the idea of spirit. I call it chaos intelligence. You guys can call it the spirit. But we're talking about the makeup of consciousness, dark energy, entropy, and melanin that creates your electromagnetism and your resonance, your gravity and your strong nuclear force and your weak nuclear force, which governs, which goes into your laws of energy itself that governs that whole process. Your entropy, when a system is open, when the universe is open, when a planet is closed, the probability distribution of creating your own world, creating your own reality, creating your own universe. So this prayer, the Aramaic version, Abunda Bishmaya, Ne Tekadat Shishamak, Tete Melkuda. That whole thing that I went through over with the Aramaic prayer, that gets rid of demons. For those that didn't know that, and so I wouldn't be able to say that every damn day, let alone listen to it every damn day, if I was just so possessed with a demon. And so that's one of them. The other one is Rukia. That is Islam. That gets rid of jinns and shaitan. And Rukia works. Rukia, it was always been used. It's also to treat sickness like any other problems, but this is used by big time by exorcists. You don't know what there is no Islam priest or cleric. I know they say more cleric that that do exorcism that they ain't that they don't know about Rukia. They know Rukia. I could be pronouncing it wrong. I don't know how to say it. I've been saying Rukia my whole life, and I've been doing Rukia since I was 19 years old. So yeah, you know what I mean. And so it's a healing method in Islam. It involves like various verses from the Quran, reciting prayers. It's a cure for evil eye too. Like say if somebody send you a lot of jealousy, any sort of black magic, jinns, Rukia works. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. And I think there's some things from the Hadith in them. There are certain ways you would do rakia, like if you've been infected by like the evil eye and stuff like that. But it's there is even rituals that you do before and even during. And so I'm not saying I do it the proper way at all, because again, God has no religion. And so when I was 18, 19 stuff, and God gave me something, I this is what God would show revealed to me when I was 19 years old, Rukia. And so I'm not saying that I do it that I've been doing it properly or anything like that. I ain't even gonna even remotely say that. But I know it works. And I know, like, say for people, especially like if you're a victim of like MK Ultra and shit like that, and you know that they bind you with jinns and all this stuff purposely, and not all jinns are bad. But I'm just saying, like, for those that um deal with this, that's been dealing with like a lot of black magic, sickness, parasite, um, evil eye, spells, whatever. Rukia is also, I would say, top 10. Rukia is top 10. And so, say you want to go play this by that Hanuman statue, right? Nothing's going to happen, just so you know, because Hanuman is not a jinn or a demon. If you was to play this around me, nothing's going to happen. I listen to Rukia every single day, literally every single day. And I do my Lord's Prayer. And so I know for a fact that, you know, that this stuff works. And so that one is one. For those, because I know that the pastor is not going to be teaching you all that. I know for a fact that the pastor is not going to break down that Aramaic version, was breaking down how this is talking about the cosmic. However, acknowledging that all in the universe is electromagnetism with the light, and all vibrates, but there's different densities, just as matter in the earth that is dense. Do you know, like, density is major in the universe when we talk about the expression of dimensions in quantum entanglement? Okay, and so they're not going to break down all this stuff like this. The concept of karma is in the damn verse. Let us not be lost in superficial things, materialism. Ain't no pastor gonna say that because they preaching you prosperity gospel. Let us be free from that which keep us from our true purpose. And so that's the original one. So if you can, just listen to the Aramaic version of that, and that's the Aramaic version. You could play that if just to hear until you learn it. Okay. But that's top 10 for getting rid of inner demon possession, as y'all like to say, since y'all so obsessed with demons. But yeah, I've been uh playing, using that Rukia for like for a minute. Not consistently. There were times where I didn't use it consistently, but now in these days, in 2024, since 2022, I mean, you gotta buckle down because it's a lot of they be playing with that CERN machine, and they be releasing gens, they be releasing legions of demons. So it's getting real out here. So you gotta beef up. You gotta do more these days. You can't really slack how you used to. You got to stay on it because it's a lot, especially if you're spiritual at any, by any chance. If you're spiritual, uh you really got to, because you're going to be under attack the most. It don't even matter your religion or gender, but if you're spiritual and you do, you're close with your higher self, you're close with yourself, you're close with God, and you're exploring your spirituality, exploring how to evolve your soul. Yeah, you gotta keep your head on a swivel in 2024, because there is a fight, a frequency war for the hearts and minds of the people. Mind control is very real. Um, the way they have this system set up, or the matrix set up, is based heavily on monarch mentalism, but the satanic reversed engineered version. True monarch mentalism, which I wrote about in my book, allows you to control damn galaxies and universes. True monarch mentalism. It was only taught to the royal bloodlines. And I taught that original version in my alternative to Freemasonry, the book that I wrote. And then I didn't put everything in there because that's a lot of stuff we got to go behind the scenes. But the Nocti philosophy teaches monarch mentalism. Um, so there is we're just now releasing this information to humans. But the version that Egypt started to erupt because they wanted more power. They started to lose power because you lose power when you lose control of your frequency, and so you descend. And that's what happened with the pharaohs after generations of not keeping up with the practice or getting into low governing force. It lowers, once you lower your frequency, you may not have the power that your forefathers had when they had that monarch mentalism and could control the weather. They'd be saying, "Oh, the such and such a group, the 13 bloodlines control the weather," and all that stuff. But yeah, like, yes, that's there. That the humans can, there were certain bloodlines, and the pharaohs, yes, they had actual godlike powers because of the information of their mystery sciences that they were applying, but also the monarch mentalism that they learned as a royal bloodline that was given inside of them in their DNA as the god, as part God themselves, human and part God. And they did the occult rituals and everything to get that entity on them. And so, yeah, so they can have the power to move the sun, and this is very real. The power to cause the rain, the power to cause lightning, the power to telekinesis, teleport, nanomagnetic levitation. Yeah, them pharaohs knew all that shit. But as they started getting into other practices and lowering your frequency, because you got to have a high, you inherently have to have a high frequency to work at that level with your energy. But if you fall, even if just temporarily, you'll lose those abilities. And then they started doing more sacrifices. That's why when Egypt started to fall, they did like they had to, they wanted Tahuti. They wanted Tahuti's energy. And so they had like sacrificed like 2 million ibises in 1 year. And this is documented because they just went on a blood spree because they was falling. The empire was falling. So the priest, they sacrificed 2 million ibises and to bring Toph down. It still didn't work because at that point they wanted that empire done because they had already fucked up the Book of the Dead. They had already um, changed the monarch mentalism to MK Ultra. So yes, MK Ultra is a combination of occult sciences, and it's still used to this day. And so we're talking demonology, radionics, psychotronics, but they added the trauma-induced portion of it because that's how you control someone's soul through trauma, through fear. That's how you control. That's how you lower their frequency. You got to lower the vibration so you can control them better, break their sense of identity, break their soul. And so the Egyptians started to do that to even keep control over their parishioners, over their citizens, over other priests and all. They started to experiment more so with the reverse engineering of it. Especially they overthrew the Queen Mothership, and this happened in Africa too. And so the Westerners, when they got a hold of the Egyptian knowledge, they looking at the Setian philosophies, the Set and Satan, this, Saturnilian, philosophies. They thinking, oh, this means this. This means we gotta in order to keep our power, we gotta do the same thing. And then the demigod pharaohs were not fully human. So when they would talk about they gotta sacrifice, da da da, or let's go to bed with the children, they were talking about humans. A pharaoh was not considered a human. But if you're half Draco, all humans in your eyes are looked at as children. And so that was the biggest misinterpretation that the Western white boys did with Egyptian science. That's why they so big in that messing with children, with Harmon, I don't know if I can say the word, but SA, of children. That's where they got that from. They misinterpreted what that meant. Same thing with the Judaism too. That stuff was ran. When we talk about royal priesthood, royal bloodlines, they were not human. They were part Draco. They might have been part human. They might have been a demigod, but they were directly. Those were entities. That's why they talk. Egypt got such this elaborate shit with the ibis head on a damn, a human and a jackal on with the Nubis. Those were entities, demigods. And so when they would get with the pharaohs, like Ramesses or Akhenaten on it, those they had them. They did their rituals. They got their own commission sciences of how to do zygote spirit turning to make that pharaoh literally be that entity or have it in them as a vessel, even though it looks like a human. That's been going on for thousands and thousands of years. And so we're talking about that's like this. That's like in the Bible where they talk about the fallen angels wanted to mate with the humans. Oh, look at the humans. We should take them as our wife. Those look at the Son of Man. Like look at the daughters of the Son of Man. Look how good they look. And they go down there and these is fallen angels and they create the Nephilim, these giants. For other entities, it's the same exact thing. Same exact thing. But they also had a science of how to even create it too. And so when the pharaohs were referring to let's go mate with the children, they weren't talking about like an actual child. They were talking about humans. So like a 40-year-old human, a 30-year-old human is a child to those beings, to a pharaoh or to, and this is what the elites misinterpreted. They thought it meant like an actual little ass kid, and that's why they so big on the child trafficking stuff. That's why the whole world shadow government has been being ran by that. The whole world knows it. is Hollywood's biggest secret. That's they literally misinterpret an Egyptian text and then started to use the set TM versions of the reversed engineered monarch mentalism, which morphed into Satanism. Yeah, that's why planet Earth looked the way it looks over a misinterpretation of some of certain humans that are half, but not fully of the bloodline at all. Some of them are not of the bloodline completely at all, have no connection to that. Took some knowledge, misinterpret the fuck out of it. So Osiris, like say, for instance, Osiris is Draco. A human is a child in his eyes, not an actual little kid, but like a 30-year-old, a 40-year-old, a 50-year-old human, a 60-year-old human that is a child. And so, yeah, they would mate with the humans, and all humans were seen as children. Two Draco primordials, to even some of the fallen angels, you would be seen as children. Some of the fallen angels see the potential and see more as little brother and little sister. But even some of the fallen angels would see humans as children. And so, uh, Egyptian nobility did it. Brahmin nobility, African nobility, when they'll and more obviously. So, they have direct ties to the divine. Some literally could be a whole nother species, to be frank. And so they would see the humans as children. And so when the Westerners got their hands on it, they said, "Oh, this mean little ass kids. Like this literally mean." That's just like the idea of sacrificing of electrons. They thinking, "Oh, blood sacrifice, take someone against their will and and don't do the proper ritual and kidnap with human trafficking and sacrifice." That's not what that meant. The absorbing of electrons or the swiping of electrons, there were still certain the rituals are all just fucked up, and that's why the world is cracking. That's why you see the matrix. That's why you see everything going on the way you see going happening, because a lot of it is no longer sustainable. It's not sustainable anymore, and God is cracking down on a lot of this stuff. And when we talk about the age of the divine feminine and the age of Aquarius, the age of Saturn, well, those are very primordial energies, and it requires being in alignment with the universe. It requires evolution of consciousness, evolution of intelligence, evolution of love. And so all in the universe has to honor that. And so planet Earth just kind of got to raise it, not just kind of, it got to raise its vibration. And not so much the planet, but the species on the planet. The species on the planet got to evolve. And so that's why you see the awakening happening the way it's happening. Yeah. And that's why you see the West, they notice. When you wonder, like, why do we have an Indian vice president and the third largest statue in the world being a Hanuman statue? Being an Indian statue. Why is the CEO of Google Indian, CEO of Microsoft Indian, CEO of Adobe, CEO of IBM, CEO of Chanel, CEO of FedEx, CEO of Palo Alto, CEO of Vanguard? They're all East Indian. And then they erect the third largest statue in America of Hanuman. It's because the elite realized that they did misinterpret a lot of the rituals and a lot of the Egyptian sciences. And when it comes to like uh, trafficking, child stuff, and all that, and they know that they have to switch to a different power source to keep the government literally going. Government means govern the mind, means mind control, and it's ran. The whole system is ran by the occult. And so they have to switch in order to come under the governance of in the age of Saturn, and raising of the vibration and bridging the gap of 3D to 5D and 5D to 7D or whatever it is, however dimension any human or any species on the planet could get to. They realize they have to switch. They're probably going to keep some things of Commission science. I'm not saying it's going to be completely, but they're bringing the whole system under more of the Vedic primordial energies, the Kalima energies, the Hanumans. They're good. It's clearly right in front of you. This country, You know how the country was built with masonry. The country was built with Commission science. Everybody knows that. It's ran its course though. Things are falling. The cabal is falling. Things are getting exposed. The year of exposure. All this stuff, which I predicted before Cat Williams, which I love to say Cat Williams. Yeah, it's all good though. It's all good. But the year of this year of exposure, and so they realize the jig is up. They're not able to generate any more energy from homunculus deities, from low governing force gods that can't clash or keep up with primordial ancient ones that are now on this planet again. And so they feel they got to go get some primordial protection. They got to get primordial help. And I'm telling you, it's not a coincidence why we have an East Indian president named Kamala that's named after a Shakti goddess, Kamala Devi. That's a avatar of Lakshmi, but also a play on Kali Ma. So they are very serious about this. They got the third largest statue. The third largest statue in America is in Houston, Texas, is of Hanuman. Because this is not a coincidence. East Indian Vice President, CEO of Google East Indian, CEO of Microsoft is Indian. Now I don't know if this is a Microsoft branch because I thought Bill Gates was still the CEO, but this going to be a Microsoft branch. But the CEO of Adobe is Indian. CEO of IBM is Indian. CEO of Vanguard is East Indian. Okay, so they getting serious when they doing, it's getting real. And so for me, I know that they're switching it. They're going to be getting more into the primordial aspect of this. But in order, if this country want to get into that, they know that they know good and hell well they can't continue human trafficking and child trafficking and corruption and harm. And that goes actually for the whole world. Because even India got to evolve as well, the actual country of India. And so they're just switching. America is switching from Commission masonry to primordial Vedic system. And they want to, because they want to stay in power. They can't stay in power with the homunculus deities that they serving. They can't stay in power with Moloch. It's a different ball game. And they know that. They can't stay in power with Baal or Moloch. The stuff they have been using, Set, the stuff they didn't understand, the things they just didn't know, the ways they thought they were honoring a Kali Ma and stuff. They just realized or what they thought Shiva was, whatever. And they just realized that they misinterpret some things. So they got to change. They're going to be switching things. And so, do you see this in America and Texas? Now, some Americans may say this is a bad thing. Some Americans may say this is a good thing. I'm just telling you, this is above your pay grade. This is the powers that be setting this up. You don't get no third largest statue in the United States without the government knowing about this. With the East Indian vice president. And so they are very much aware. See, you may just see it as like, oh my gosh, they're trying to take over. This is adultery or whatever. This is that. But you'll have adultery all over your place if that's the case. All of those obelisks actually flew in from Egypt. Those are actually real, and they were imported from Egypt into America. There's adultery everywhere. You go to Columbia University, you see literally a statue of fucking Pan, and you see a statue of Columbia. And then when you get on the campus of Columbia University, no lie, like as soon as I had stepped foot on Columbia, I just felt the spirit of Lucifer. I was like, it's a highly air intellect energy like of Columbia. You could feel that spirit. And then there's literally a statue of Pan on like this adultery everywhere. And so the Christians are now just getting up in arms about Hanuman. I'm like, why you ain't get up in arms about all the other shit that's all around you? Your whole system is based off of Egyptian science. The Caducees is everywhere. The Caducees, the Kundalini snake serpent energy, which also once again descends from the dragon riders. It was a meditation taught to the fallen angels and the regular angels, obviously. And so I just, when I be seeing y'all just got to get real. My thing is, I would like to tell that temple, I don't understand why y'all didn't um build a statue of Kali. Why didn't y'all do that? Because like I said, in the Ramayana, when Rama got kidnapped and Hanuman had to go and rescue his Rama, he had to pray to Kali and ask Kali for her help. That's in y'all story. That's in the Ramayana. He had to ask Kali to bless him, and he asked her to be her gatekeeper. So why didn't y'all build a statue of Kali? That's what I would like to ask that temple, and that's what I would like to see. He prayed to Kali to help Hanuman rescue uh, Rama, and she did. And so you could build a statue of Kali. Now, if the Christians want to build a statue of Jesus, then they got to get the building, or they can build a statue of Yeshua, Black Jesus, too. Get the building. If they so worried that the our country is being infiltrated with demons on and stuff, go and build you a statue then. Stop paying $40 million for some damn private jets for your pastors, and go get them build you a nice big ass statue, a black one too. Not no, don't give me no white Jesus. Jesus was black. So y'all go so you go and get the building. Yeah. But again, like when we talk about like the dissemination of these energies of this knowledge coming from beings from 125D that were both fallen and some that just didn't. There's primordial energies that came here as well. There's angels that come here. There's avatars. There's ascended masters that have come through, and they leave knowledge. They pass on information, and so the Atlantean dimension touched down on all 7 continents of this planet. That's why you say, "Oh, Atlantis was here. Atlantis was there. Atlantis was there." It was a dimension that merged with this planet, and they had Atlantean beings on every. Yes, they built cities. I'm not saying they didn't build a city or something, but I'm saying it was an actual dimensional crossover as far as how they all 7 continents have this story of it of where Atlantis could be, and Atlantis was underwater. Atlantis is in Africa. Atlantis is in Americas. All of these things because it was a dimension. Atlantean beings were in all places, building up IPUs, teaching, passing down information, and particularly Atlantean Freemasonry. Some of the Atlanteans were dragon riders, some were Dracos, some were Anunnakis. I don't want to go that deep. I don't want to get that damn deep. But and yes, if you go, they would some of these entities will come down. Not all of them were fallen angels. Yes, some of them were, but not all of them were. You know, when they left from 125D, those 33%, that was a whole nother schism. That's a different context than say if a Hanuman was to come down, or to say if let's see, I want to do because Hanuman is kind of too primordial, but say like a Krishna. That's a different context. But also, as far as the infiltration or the misinterpretation of the information, it started with the fallen watchers from 125D. They were initiated to a certain level of the dragon riders, and so they didn't have all the information, but they did steal some information on their way down, but also the information that was already on planet Earth from primordial beings, mind you, particularly Vedic Nagas knowledge. Nagas knowledge. The Fallen Watchers also didn't quite because the beings that created the Nagas knowledge, they were already way beyond dragon riders. They were in the order of Kali. They were in higher primordial chaos intelligence orders. And so they were already at the highest level of the knowledge, or whatever had you with it, the mystery. We don't say knowledge, but the highest levels of the mystery. And so when fallen watchers even come down to planet Earth and they start looking at some of the IPUs that Earth has, they already start looking at the knowledge that Earth has, some of the stuff in Egypt and some of the stuff in the landmass of Africa, rather, because none of this stuff was named at Egypt or anything at that time. But those land masses, wherever the knowledge was at, that was left by primordials, they also didn't understand that because they were still in the order of dragon riders. And that is more of it's more like the teenager level, if you had to think of it. It's definitely, you're still learning. And that's still kind of like the kid level. It's kind of like the kid level as well. But I do have to say, some of them the fallen watchers, they were more advanced. I have to say, more advanced than, so that it's like kind of like skipping a grade, an esoteric code. But yeah, so when they got here too, they didn't even understand the current IPUs that was left by primordials, because they were not in the order of Kali or the order of Tahuti. I think with the exception of Lucifer. Um, but yeah, they come down. They didn't even they misinterpreted and botched the fuck out of that. And then the information that they did know, they started reverse engineering it, seeing what they can use to control humans, what kind of information they want to give to the humans, what information they want to keep. They also created their other species, homunculus deities. They created other species that also had more power than humans and set them up as homunculus deities. Believe it or not, a lot of the Babylonian gods are homunculus deities. You could feel it. I'm not trying to be offensive. I'm just saying I could tell that a lot of it is, that's where that homunculus deity shit come from, where you create an octave of a reversed of you creating an octave using reversed engineered occult knowledge. So you're creating a god using reversed engineered science. And so the God is not given clearance by 125D. It wasn't promoted through the proper channels of by God, by the Creator God, and so it's already of a earth based frequency, but it's very low level, and that's why there's a lot of low level trickster energy. That's why you have a lot of homunculus deities even now in Hollywood, where that's overseeing like the contracts and the music industry and all that. Those are not those real deities overseeing it like they think it is, or it's a misinterpretation of the octave that they created. And you can tell just from the way the horrific tales and the way the treatment is of people. So a lot of they this government realizes that now, that they're dealing with a lot of homunculus deities, and they're not dealing with the real deal that's going to keep them a sustainable empire. And so they're making a switch. That's really what it is. They're making the switch from Cometian science, Babylonian, Luciferian, uh, occult knowledge, and going to work more so with some of this Eastern esoteric knowledge. And possibly even some Gnosticism. I suspect there'll be some Christian Gnosticism in there as well, because they're going to find a way to bridge this gap, and they're probably most likely going to still keep Kabbalah. They'll still keep Kabbalah, but they're definitely doing a switch, and you could see it. You can see it. And so the last topic that I want to cover, I want to make sure that that drew. I wrote a lot about this stuff in my books, but yeah, that's how the information got botched on planet Earth, through the fallen watchers, but also um, through the reverse engineering of the science, but also the creation of homunculus deities, who also was able to take over and use reverse engineered occult knowledge against humans for mind control, and create octaves and claim to even be like literally impostoring primordial deities and tricking the fuck out of humans. That's why there's a lot of humans that they have to do like these blood sacrifices to go move up in the game and practice like imitation Kabbalah and all that stuff. It's deep, but it's because shit just got wildly perverted, wildly perverted, and it's now coming to an end. Hopefully, things evolve. We are all doing our parts to raise the frequency in our small pockets, and so we'll see. And it's up to humans to collectively come together and determine what type of resonance they want their planet to be in. They think someone's coming to save them, and You got people that are here to help, entities that are here to help as well, but we collectively have to work together to see our planet evolve. The last thing I want to talk about, like, um, is is you know, what does this mean for Black Americans? Like, if I had these East Indians, they're coming over and all this stuff. And so, what I would say, you know, I would tell the East Indians, like, just don't come over here disrespecting Black Americans. Like, don't be disrespectful. You know, um, people put in a lot of work. So I know people have done a lot to come over into this country and whatnot. And so, my thing is, I wouldn't advise these Indians to come over to be disrespectful to the Black Americans, because many are protected by the same very primordial forces from the Nagas gods, which is the Kalimas and the Hanumans and the Shivas. They were given to you by the Ethiopians and the Cometians. This is documented in your history. And they were from the Hebrew bloodline. And so what I would say is I don't think we should be beefing with Indians, because they have mass, they making the moves, and so we may want to make some smart alliances, but you know I don't think the group should be fighting or anything. I wouldn't recommend that. I don't think we should be fighting, and I don't think they should be coming over here acting up either. They got to be respectful. If you're not going to help us, just stay out the way. We understand people move with they click. People worry about their own people. But like I said, Black Americans, you also want to start to get into your genealogy, because, like I said, in this video, I want to pull it up right here. In this video, I talked about how they brought over East India Indians to Virginia 375 years ago, and they also brought them in Maryland and in North Carolina. And so when they brought some South Asians over here, Dravidians, they would be called East Indian Negro. And they merged in, and you could see this is an actual primary source. They merged in with the African American community. So this is the primary source I actually want to show you. This is from Richmond County, July 14th. A runaway about the 20th of May left an East India Indian. Okay. And they talk about the height. He was a runaway slave. And they were talking about a reward of $40 will be paid for any person who's delivered him to William Colston. So this was a gazette. This was a paper, a newspaper. And they were talking about the Tony, the East Indian that arrived in Jamestown and all these things. And so this was a real thing. There are Black Americans that have oral history of East Indian in their family. And so this was the Virginia Gazette in 1768. So in 1768, they started bringing some East Indian Dravidians over here. Before then, that was before there was even a country. This was they would just call them Asiatic Indians. So when Black Americans was calling themselves Asiatic Black men, a lot of them, a lot of times that stuff be oral history type shit. That's just like how some Black Americans they know that they Hebrew. That stuff come from their oral history. I'm not saying we all the same, because we not, and we know we do our genealogy and we see different things. But when people be saying things and I'm an Asiatic Black man, and they wasn't just being self-hating. This is the actual newspaper, the Gazette. And so I was in this video, I was just breaking down like the specific slave trade, the American Indian slave trade, and the Pacific slave trade, but also like the stuff that happened in India. I'm sorry, with South Asians coming over too. And so Black Americans, you know, um, you may find some of these things out in just your genealogy. And so that's why I don't think they should be disrespecting us because we've been over here for a long, long, long time. Some Black Americans, this is literally their home. This is all they have because they are literally the Black Indian that also they had a American Indian slave trade here on this land, and they had no problem labeling the dark skinned American Indians Negro and mixing them in with Africans and Dravidians, Fijians. They just mixed them all up, and some of them they did make distinctions because the East Indian looks so different than. And we're not talking about Brahmin class Indian. We're obviously talking about Dravidians, and so they would probably look like. Let me see if I can get a picture of the Dravidians. They got these type of. They brought them these type over here. You see how black? You see how dark skinned they are. They brought them type over here. A lot of the Dravidians have connections to the Sephardic Jew. You know the book. You know y'all know that documentary from Hebrews to Negroes. When they was doing these slave trade stuff, they was doing high level masonry to know which bloodlines to go after and where they went and where they were going to go get them. And that's all I'm going to say. You put two and two together. They did the same thing in Africa and the same thing in the Americas. And the same thing with bringing them damn Sephardic Moors over here. It was a play. It was a well thought out, highly occult play. As far as these slave trades, obviously it was money involved too. Obviously, but yeah, you know, don't be coming over here being disrespectful, Indians. But if you're not gonna help, just stay out of our way. But you know, do well over here as well. Contribute, help your fellow man. Right? Stop thinking us versus them. Start working together. That's what I would say. But if you're not gonna help, just don't stay. Don't just don't be in. Just don't get in the way. If you don't want to be bothered, because some people they just want to come over here with a small little group and stick to themselves. But be grateful and do well over here. You know, be do well over here, and don't think that you know you don't want to be just so disres. You may be disrespectful to a Black American who got nothing but primordial Vedic gods protecting them, and you thinking you're gonna come over and disrespect them, and they got primordial Vedic gods like how I got, and you don't know what's in their bloodline. You don't know if they was from the part of the Dravidian that slave that was brought over here to America. And so don't go being disrespectful to the Black Americans. But other than that, you know, if y'all want to make some shake, we could probably do that when the time permits and when things get more worked out after your election, because it's going to be a lot popping off with this election shit. But other than that, I think I think the Hanuman statue is cool, but you got to figure I'm a whole nother being. Like I don't think like the average human. And I told you that this being came to me when I was 18 years old, 19 years old. So I don't see nothing wrong with no Hanuman statue. I just see the play. It's a lot deeper. This is a cult. You don't get more occult than this. But now they real blatant with it. But then like say those who don't know, they just gonna say, oh, that's a demon. Oh. And this is the God of intellect, strength, that self-discipline, and courage and wisdom. Masculine, very, 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 very powerful. He's a military genius. Very, very highly intellectual. He's taught me a lot. He's taught me a lot. People always wonder where I'll be coming when I be doing like y'all be seeing this right here. I'll show you. Y'all know I like to I come up with my own IPU with the Nagti philosophy. This is the Esoteric Studies Department at Nagti University. And so I be designing these things. I've designed this is my we have our own original teachings of the Nagti esoteric sciences. Waiting for it to load. It's taking forever to load. Come on. But the original teachings of the Nagti esoteric system. I'll be designing these prints and stuff like this, And people be wondering, like, this Nocti philosophy is literally a copyrighted, federally protected, copyrighted document that is owned 100% by me, Jenny Nunn Stanley, Kylie J.N.S. This Nocti philosophy is original. I have a certificate from the federal government that protects this for my entire life, 75 years after my death, that I came up with this philosophy system of order of the monarch mentalism. Technically, the Nocti philosophy is a teaching of the organizing of the mind and heart for greater ascension, choosing your state of consciousness, deprogramming you from MK Ultra, all types of stuff. But like, as far as like this level of building like this, like this one right here, like I've been taught, even in other past lives, of how to do these things. It's right here. I designed this. It's a higher level version of the octaves of the dimensional self, while you're still in the physical flesh, and how you're connected to the stellar gateway galaxy while you're still on planet Earth. And so this is stuff that I've designed. This is stuff that I created. But I'm telling you that my ancestors perform certain things, whatever is in the bloodline, this stuff comes through the ancestors and from being taught. The original monarch mentalism and the original Atlantean Freemasonry that had nothing to do with mind control or Satanism or what the fallen angels thought that they was doing on this planet. They fucked it up. And so this is all Nocti esoteric science. Now I'm be sharing more about this on my channel eventually, but I just feel like I'm way too ahead of my time when it comes to teaching the Nocti philosophy. But I eventually have to get to it. I eventually have to. The book is out for free, but as far as like breaking it, I gotta break this down more. So give an example so that humans can understand me. But this is pretty much it's pretty understandable for the most part. But as far as like go doing a walkthrough in a video format, that's the next step with this book. And it does deal with like mind control programming, because most humans are under mind control. They just don't know it. They are under heavy mind control, most humans. And once they do hit them, they're gonna, instead of having a fragmented dissociative mind, because it does feel like, oh my gosh, like once you wake up from the illusion, it sucks on some certain levels, and it's a blessing on many levels. But that's what the Nocti philosophy is for, is to help deal with that. So these are the esoteric video lectures. But um, even just the way my epigenetics express itself and my consciousness express itself, as Jenny is 32 years old, in my bloodline somewhere somehow it was connected with Hanuman, and that's why I was able to know things about him, and that's why he came to me when I was 18 years old, 19 years old. Yep. But that's a God of intellect, high level intellect. I'm not saying go and conjure or do nothing like that, because I wouldn't even know, like I wouldn't know how to conjure primordial or nothing like that. I have to say I don't even know how that works. But for those that was looking for like that self discipline or something like that, I always recommend doing the research, and with comfortability and having awareness and feeling called, before just dabbling and stuff. I wouldn't just tell people to go and dabble in anything. But yep, it's getting real over here. And as far as Black Americans, we still got to work on, our our cultural preservation, our ethnology preservation. I don't like to use the word delineation anymore. I'm telling it's like a lot of stuff is just getting messed up and botched as far as like the focus and that we should have as Black Americans versus the distractions and what is harvesting our energy and not in a good way or not for good benefits. And so we still have to work on building our own cultural ethnology um, when it comes to building up our power base in this country. And our government's not going to do that for us. That's something we have to do. And so I would like to see us work more on that. Right now, I know there's no quote unquote pro black leader that's going to encourage that for you guys because they're just more or less controlled opposition. And so the awakening or the awareness of how crucial that is has not hit us yet. And so maybe one day it will. Um, it's very soon rather than later because we want to make sure that we stay competitive, autonomous, and self-determined and self-sufficient. Um, and we see the moves that other groups are making in this country like that, and how I just listed all them tech companies that they just now became the East Indians are not a CEO of, and how they gave us the East Indian vice president and try to tell us that she's Black American. So they know that there's a connection there, and they're trying to bridge that gap, but that's not the way you do it. You got to do that through honesty. And so as far as like making sure that we are able to get into those positions as well, we got to maintain that cultural ethnology, but we also got to maintain our competitive edge and get serious about power base blocks, like being a power block, being in a liaison between literally the running of the government and um, the people itself, like literally running the government. And so I would like to see our focus shift more into that instead of like some trivial childish shit, and so that we can be more competitive. Because right now I'm like, damn, like they just came over here and just, and then granted, we already at a disadvantage with a lot of things. It's not like they, come on, they clearly be locking us out. But if we know that, then we have to understand that we all we got and make smart alliances when it's warranted, smart decisions, but also being in the position of power every time we do deal with those alliances, and every time we work to build our own communities. We want to do that from a position of power as well, a position of influence over the say of how things get built out. That's what I would say. Is this is wild, boy. They going in, they bringing in statues and shit like this. This is the third largest statue in America. It don't bother me, obviously, but for the Christians, I know they was jumping out their window. They was going up there saying, "What about Jesus? They need to build them a Jesus statue." Then shit, build it, and they will come. Shit, instead of there and spending all that money on that damn private jet for the Creflo Dollar, $40 million for Creflo Dollar. That's what you did. Can't get mad at these Hindus for being serious about their God. That's why they in all the positions in America. That's they primordial God. Looking out for them, getting them into all them damn positions in America. Look at this shit. Where's that? And they talking about it too. They bragging about it. Look at this. This is an investor, a doctor. Look at this. They serious. They very serious. And they got their little Hindu statue to thing. They say that's what they say. That's what they believe. And so you gonna get mad at them. These people not playing. You see how they got that helicopter throwing flowers on it? Doing they serious. Look at the close up. The flowers, they dropping flowers out of it. They serious, and they got an East Indian vice president, and the CEO of Vanguard is now East Indian. Vanguard. These people are not playing, and so we got to get. And that's why I was building up so much of those infrastructures. Like, and I know, you know, whatever people may say when it comes to like maybe my experience and the frameworks that I make, but they're coming from a place of monarch mentalism. They are. I know they didn't. Oh, here we go. I was about to say, but when I come up with this Queen Mothership Enterprise architecture, like contains a framework. The Alchemy Reservoir of Black Americans contains a framework. And Trust in Melanism contains a framework. The Alternative to Freemasonry contains a framework. This herbs and medicine, this stuff comes from monarch mentalism. This stuff is coming from my ancestors. It's pulled from a source that is high level. I'm not even taking credit for all of it. I give the glory to God. But what I'm saying is this stuff, it it it, it will work. It will work. We're talking about building intentional communities, a whole structure of governance, a whole structural of governance of running our own communities, building our own cities, building our own parallel infrastructures, military science, evolving of the soul, evolving of our consciousness through various meditations of dark energy, talking about the divine feminine, the age of the divine feminine, sex magic, more military science, instructional design models for learning, African stuff, the law of gender. This is dealing with electromagnetism, different types of meditation. And so, our people, I say this to say, like, I hope we one day see the value of building power blocks just together in a very high level structured way, and not just, we're not wanting to be so beholden to the system, but building leverage in a way where they come to us for the sauce, the actual models, the actual knowledge of the framework, even copying, or even, us maneuvering in a way where we get in control of it, of the system via our methods and models, but again, I know for a fact that we got black gatekeepers blocking that. I know from what I dealt with behind the scenes, just from leasing this stuff. Once these two books was out, they were plotting my death. Once this book was released, I had a phone call from one of the power brokers talking about 7 state attorney generals asking about me, and also interest in my military science. And so, like, it's not like it's just something that's not going to work if they were trying to bring me into the fold of the system. I just don't want to be controlled, and I also don't want to do nothing that's going to that where I become like a puppet, or where it ends up being a detriment to my community. Because that's the vibe I was getting. It wasn't even the vibe. That's what I know. It wasn't. It wasn't. It was not even a vibe. It was more so like I knew for a fact that what it required, and it to me that just is not how I like to work. I can't work on those conditions because it kills my spirit. It will harm my creativity. It will harm to be, if I know that someone's trying to make me a puppet or trying to feed control me. That doesn't help me. And so I didn't want to. I didn't sell out to this system. I don't even know if that's the right way to say it, but I didn't go into the system. That's what I probably should say, because it's not necessarily selling out just because you work, just because you work with the government or anything. That, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, like, I didn't want to do it in that way. Didn't want to do it in that way. But yep, they bringing in this stuff, you guys. Let's see what it is. Shout out to Hanuman. Let's see what happens. But we gotta get on it. Let me look at the comments, because I know I'll be bumping them gums. Let's see. Look at the comments. Pink crystal woman being. What is a pink crystal woman being? Pink crystal? I don't know what you're referring to, honey. Black myth Wukong about that monkey king. Oh wow. Ultra instinct. And then you said, yeah, his name is Stephen Darby, Pastor Darby. Yep. I just wanted to make sure. I was looking at the comments and says it's too constricting organized religion, organized thought. Right. It is too constricting. Oh, yep. In Japan, they was calling him Saint Isa. That's what it's calling Jesus. But you know what? I also want to show you this before I get off because this is interesting. I have a playlist by J Utah. Because again, this stuff I'm telling you, Hanuman came to me when I was 19 years old. So I want to show you this how serious this is. My J Utah playlist. I'll show you this. I'll show you this right here. You see that? That's Hanuman. So J Utah, he's someone I've been listening to probably. Whoo! It's been like 14 years. He's a musician. He's a singer, and he does like the flair between jazz and Hinduism and Sanskrit traditional music. Mantras, and he sometimes it has like a jazz feel to it. It's very different the way he does it, and so I really like his music. So I've listened to his music for so long. Oh my gosh, it's been so long. But this is like an example of like this Hanuman monkey. I think I could play it. If I might have to remove it. If I hope I don't get no strike or nothing. But let's see. Oh no, this one is not it. Where's the one where they were talking about? That's my playlist. But let me type in J Utah Hanuman because he had a kids album. He comes out with a kids album. Hanuman's Great Jump. I had bought this album for a kid in my family actually. Let's see if this one is it. Oh no, that's not it. It was like this was I remember how it started because he was talking to the kids. He was telling a story to the kids. It just really gets me upset that I forgot the name of that song. But yeah, that's Jay Utah. Jay. Yeah, but let me get on off here. I really wanted. I guess that's a good thing because I already do got a warning on my channel, so maybe I can't. It's not wise to play what I was looking for. Yeah, but that's Jay Utah with the kids, Curtin kids, and so he been doing music for decades. And he's more of he's I think he's from the Brahmin class too, but that's how they do a lot of Hanuman Chalisa. That's a mantra, and so they take this serious. Them people they're not playing. And if you thinking that these beings don't have no power, they getting them in them positions. You see them positions they taking over. Lord have mercy. Mm-mm-mm. Yeah, let me get my butt up off of here. I'll talk to y'all later. Love you. Bye.